Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Pressure, Calzada steps up and delivers a throw. It's picked off. Picked off by Finley. A.J. Finley down the sidelines. Touchdown, Ole Miss, pick six.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Prescott rolling, going the other way, looking, gonna run it in. He's in. Touchdown, Dallas.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Looks like a busted play here. Williams in trouble, and he'll just throw it up and picked off. Al Walcott.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday afternoon, and college football with yet another coaching change. Justin Fuente out at Virginia Tech early this morning. He was a hot young name, remember, part of Gary Patterson's staff back, in fact, at TCU when they went to the Rose Bowl. Was his co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Think about the names on this list, and we've discussed them before. But now you add Virginia Tech. That's a pretty good big boy program. LSU, TCU, USC, Washington State, and Texas Tech, of course, has filled theirs with Joey McGuire. And that doesn't count what might happen when you look at a place like the University of Florida. Nebraska's kind of sealed that deal with Scott Frost, at least. He'll be back for a year, and there's more to come.
Yeah, Justin Fuente is kind of an interesting situation that happened at Virginia Tech. Once Bud Foster retired, and I don't know if he and Bud Foster were ever on the same page. I think most Virginia Tech fans expected Bud Foster to be the guy who took over for Frank Beamer when he left, and then when that didn't happen, they brought in a younger guy because Bud Foster had been pretty much in it with Frank Beamer the entire time Frank Beamer was there almost. When Bud Foster left, the wheels really came off. Justin Fuente, for being an offensive-minded coach, has one of the worst offenses in the country this year. And that was this kind of really surprising. But a couple weeks ago, they played Boston College on a Friday night and didn't get past the 50 until the third play of the fourth quarter.
Really?
And didn't get a first down. And that was the first down they'd even gotten in 2.5 quarters since the maybe first drive where they got 11 yards on the first play and then nothing happened after that. It was really, really bad. So he wasn't a fit at Virginia Tech. He did a really good job at Memphis. Justin Fuente did, and maybe he's due to go back to a school like that for a little while before he jumps back into the B5, or maybe TCU still really likes him and feels he's a better fit in Fort Worth than he was in Blacksburg. But I don't think he's high up on their list right now either.
Yeah, I can't imagine they'd really spark a whole lot of enthusiasm in the fan base by hiring a guy who just got fired. I don't know why you would get excited about that if you were a fan, regardless of the ties. So, yeah, I wouldn't think that that's high up on TCU's list of candidates. But who knows? Maybe the familiarity leads them to at least, research that a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, they just got worse. They were going backwards. It's a team where every year, Virginia Tech making a bowl game, that's a no-brainer. That's absolutely going to happen every single year. And then last year, it was a weird year, so I think you kind of have that of a mulligan. But, the couple of years prior to that, had bowl team, 6 wins, 8 wins, and last year the 5 wins, and this year 5 wins again. So, like I said, they're kind of going backwards here. And, I guess the feel around Blacksburg just hasn't really ever felt right, quite frankly, with Justin Fuente there. I remember when he got brought up for the Baylor job, and he brought himself up as much as anybody else did, but he made the comment about them reaching out to him, and they would go on to hire Dave Aranda. I'm not sure if they really even kicked the can much with Justin Fuente, but if they did, they made the right choice in the end. I'll say that.
Well, Mack Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics, will join us today at 4:20, and I know that there's the name of Dave Aranda among all of the names and lists and stories and articles, and I even had somebody today suggest that I should be more forward with Dave Aranda about the opportunities or contact with programs. We have, and I've asked Dave Aranda. I sat down and visited with him a little bit about coaching changes or whatever. And even someone who listens and watches the show said, you just, just because a name is in an article, that's a compliment. That doesn't mean that someone can't money whip Dave Aranda and his agent. But if you want to do that, now we should ask him about Virginia Tech or maybe ask him about Washington, because there was a story about Dave Aranda to Washington. And those programs would be fortunate if they got it. Right now, he's at Baylor. He's worried about Kansas State. I get where the fan base has PTSD. I get that. But I think you're losing focus right now on what's right now. And that's what Dave Aranda is worried about. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not saying he's staying at Baylor. I won't bet my career on that, but I think he's as good a fit as they've had since Grant Taft was here. And I know Art Browse was fantastic, and I understand that. There was also lots of things as far as Smoak about what he might be thinking about his future. I'm telling you right, I don't know if Browse would have ever left had it not been for the scandal. I think that Dave Aranda is as good a fit that Baylor has had as their head football coach since Grant Taft was here.
I'll add to that in that if you want to be put at ease, one of the things that Dave Aranda is big on, and we talked to him about this at Big 12 Media Days, and it's really stuck with me, is quality of life, happiness, player engagement in that realm, in the spiritual realm, in the personal happiness realm, and that means that he's got to live his life that way. He appears to be someone who is happy where he's at. I also will add this to it. If you look at what is coming for the Baylor athletic department, in 2 years or so, whenever it is, Texas and Oklahoma will no longer be in this league. So the league will be wide open for football, in particular in the fact that the team that's won it more than half the times that the league has been in existence is going to leave. So the teams that are on the come up right now, which are clearly Baylor and Oklahoma State, certainly want to keep that momentum going. And why would you leave when you could maybe be the dominant team in the conference in a couple years? And if you look at when the new Big 12 happens, top to bottom, who has one of the best athletic departments? It will be Baylor in almost everything. They will have top to bottom one of the most diverse and successful athletic departments, whether it's football, basketball, tennis, whatever it is. They're pretty much good in everything. And so if you want to be the head of that, which is the football team, the most important one, I think you might be silly to kind of dive into a place where it's in flux all the time.
For me, I did the podcast earlier today, the Bearcast, and had no less than 4 questions asking about Dave Aranda. And I basically just said what you said, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to sit here and stress out over it. We've done this over and over again with Baylor coaches. I'm not about to, just because there's a few mentions, start stressing out and freaking out over the possibilities of Dave Aranda leaving. Could he leave? Sure. Could he stay? Absolutely. I'm not worried about him leaving. And right now, I think that's the last thing that should be on any Baylor fan's mind, quite honestly. They got 2 games to play and a shot to get into the Big 12 championship game. And that's something that Matt Rhule was able to do one time, and they fell short against Oklahoma. But they have not won a conference title since 2014. They have everything in front of them right now. They need, obviously, like an Oklahoma State to beat Oklahoma, or even an Iowa State this weekend. But if they don't handle their own business, it doesn't matter. So I think Dave Aranda's probably locked in on a trip to Manhattan right now. Could his agent be fielding other calls from 17 different schools that have now been mentioned along with him? Sure. But if you think we're going to sit here and go over every single rumor just because the rumor's out there, I mean, that's just a waste of time and it's a waste of energy. And so if you want to stress out over it and be all up in arms over the idea of it, I understand why there's that PTSD, as you mentioned. But again, I'm not worrying about it, and I'm sure that they're, locked in on these next 2 games and not a whole lot more. We'll
have Mack at 4:20. My question for him will be, why do you keep hiring people that other people want? You know why? Because he's hiring great people, really good people. And we'll get into that as well. The Big 12, by the way, did fine Baylor $25,000. Not so much for storming the field, but the timing of it was, the back and forth, and now Lincoln Riley can be happy. But that's
he doesn't care.
$25,000.
That's what he said.
Yeah, it was Bowlesby had a statement. I saw a lot of people angry with Bob Bowlesby. TCU did not get fined, I don't think, for storming the field against Baylor. And I know that there's a lot of anti-Bob Bowlesby. I think he's done a great job the last 3+ months with the realignment. But we'll get to Mack about the fine as well.
Yeah, and speaking of Lincoln Riley, I mean, Oklahoma a little bit, suffering a little bit, but here's a guy too who's rumored every single year for coaching jobs. And, even today, like I had a question in the mailbag, one of the, handful about Aranda. And, I know people want me to say that I can guarantee you he's never going anywhere, but I'd be a liar if I said that. I can't guarantee anything. I don't know Dave Aranda's brain, but I tell you what, I get asked about why doesn't he just come out and matter-of-factly say, no, I'm never going anywhere. Wasn't that what Lincoln Riley did today? And did anybody think that he was telling the truth?
No.
No. Nobody. Everybody's like, he's still going to LSU.
They've asked Jimbo twice.
Jimbo's done it twice and still, and guarantee he'll have to answer a third time and still won't be good enough. So that's why I ran that there's no point in him saying anything, because even if he did, he's either going to be a liar or it doesn't even really matter that he said anything. So I don't think it does him any good to make it even more of a topic than it already is. He needs to keep his football team focused because, again, Jimbo's had to answer it multiple times, and it doesn't matter what he says, no matter how matter-of-fact he is. Lincoln said it multiple times. Doesn't matter what he says. Everybody still thinks he's going to LSU or sneaking around behind the scenes. So what would be the point Dave Aranda saying, I'll never leave? And you've already seen Matt Rhule do that, not say I'll never leave, but basically act as though he was going to be around for a while after that contract extension, and he was gone like 5 weeks later, so or probably longer than that, but not by much at all. So that's why Dave Aranda doesn't have to say anything. And you also threw out too yesterday, he can't say anything because he doesn't know what's coming his way. Like, he could say today, I'm never going to leave Waco, and I'm going to be the Baylor head coach forever. And all of a sudden, later on tonight, his agent gets a phone call from Southern Cal saying, we'll give you like 10% of ticket sales and $15 million a year. Well, guess what?
You're gone.
You're gone. So,
or at least you would understand that.
Yeah, you would understand that. So, that's the position he's in, and it's not going to do him any good to sit there and address it and make it more of a thing than it is.
One of the things I hear about is give him an extension now. Why? They are 8-2. What if they lose at Kansas State, then they lose to Texas Tech, and then they lose a bowl game? Why now? I think that's one of the reasons why you see $500 million plus in debt money from coaching changes, why there's already been $70 million in buyout money from just the coaches who have been fired this year, and it's November the 16th. I will tell you this, that Dave Aranda's contract, and I've never read it, I can only tell you from me doing, again, due diligence, is that there are things that will kick in if the success level meets certain criteria. 8-2 is pretty damn good. A bowl game, yeah, that's pretty good too. A Big 12 championship appearance and maybe winning that, you never know what that can kick in. Incentives, bonuses, maybe another year or a restructuring of the contract. That's a possibility. When we talk to Mack Rhodes, I'll ask him that straight up today on the show.
They have the potential to be one of the best football teams in Baylor history this year. I mean, they're already at 8 wins. They got 4 games left potentially if they find their way into a conference championship game, which they can do by winning their next 2 games. And that should set them up, you would think, pretty well, depending on what happens around them. But, and the other thing about it is why not give them a contract extension to what you said, for one reason, because they could go on a losing skid, and then you look really stupid for having done that. And number 2 is it doesn't mean anything. All it would mean is just a larger buyout for Baylor, but you're not going to know anything really about that. You're going to read the headline, but you're not going to know where that money went or how it was spent necessarily. You give him a bigger contract just to get a bigger buyout, but that's a lot of work just to put a piece of paper together that doesn't really change a whole lot because he can still leave regardless. It's not like it locks you in no matter what. So that's another reason why what's the point?
Mack Rhodes at 420. Blake Anderson, Utah State is right now leading their conference out west. Former Hubbard High School football star. He played at Baylor for a couple of years and then ended up at Sam Houston State. He was at Arkansas State, did a really good job there. We know about the story. His wife lost a battle to cancer. He's the head coach at Utah State, where Dave Aranda once was, remember. He'll join us today early at 3:30 on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Let's look at a couple of the chat rooms, okay, if we wouldn't mind here. Michael DeHart, by the way, our leadoff hitter today. From Mike S. Guys, rumors up here in Virginia. Virginia Tech was not happy. Fuente interviewed for the Baylor job in 2020. I never confirmed whether he did or not, but don't tell me that schools aren't talking to agents and others. So if he can't do that, then can they? Well, they're the ones that signed the check. But I don't know if that's true or not. But Mike S., we appreciate
there was a lot of smoke.
Insight.
There was a lot of smoke about Fuente and Baylor, and I don't know either. I couldn't confirm or not whether he actually had a real meeting and sit down. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. But yeah, I said earlier, apparently there was some level of interest or some connection there, but Aranda was the hire ultimately, and I think they nailed it.
It didn't matter if Baylor was interested in them. Fuente was interested, or who it was. Baylor, for Virginia Tech fans, was just the name of the place that might have interviewed their coach. It was the fact that Fuente was interested in leaving a place that he wasn't. Here's the thing: he wasn't doing a great job at Virginia Tech. I mean, he wasn't. When they're like, so you want to leave us, and we're flailing to even get to the ACC title game, a place that Frank Beamer used to get us to. That's what made him mad, and it was from that point on with Justin Fuente and Virginia Tech. It's been on the outs, and then now the team's just playing really bad.
Somebody mentioned, maybe that's a possibility. Again, someone might look at him as a coach. There's going to be openings. If there's already 12 or so, 15 or so, there may be 30 or so before it's all said and done by the time we get to January. Somebody mentioned, how about a fit Justin Fuente to TCU? They're pretty deep down their coaching search. Now, we haven't heard much of late. We've seen some of the names pop out. Who knows? Maybe he joins that fray. I don't know.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, LSU, TCU, USC, Washington, Washington State, UMass, FIU, Akron, and then we've already had 3 hires with Tech hiring Joey McGuire, UConn hiring Jim Mora Jr., and then Clay Helton heading to Georgia Southern. So, 3 hires have already been made, and that's 9 vacancies right now. But, on Fuente, I don't know if their pool is, clean enough to where he could just jump right in right now and be a candidate, right away. I would think that they're probably, kind of down the path a little bit at this point. So I would call that a long shot at best. And again, I don't know how that really sparks your fan base when you're like, hey, we just hired the guy who just got fired at Virginia Tech. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't think that'd go over well.
If I were FIU, I might hire.
Yeah,
sure.
From Owen, Virginia Tech. In Owen's opinion, he's of course a West Virginia guy. Virginia Tech focused on Jamie Chadwell, who we had on the show from Coastal Carolina.
Makes
Billy Napier,
Makes sense.
who was having a good run at University of Louisiana, and some have even mentioned Rich Rod. Okay. So thanks a lot, Owen. We appreciate that. From Jay Lackameyer, Aranda I feel is very comfortable in Waco. Could he leave? Sure, but I think that he feels like that Waco is home to him.
Yeah, Jamie Chadwell to Virginia Tech in the top 5 today is about Virginia Tech replacements. And I think Virginia Tech would be crazy not to tell him right now, hey, you're our guy. Like, do you want to get this done right now? Let's get it done right now, Jamie, because he's from that region. He is clearly building a program. He's got a great, Ted Lasso sensibility about him. He's different than Justin Fuente. He's got an innovative offense. He'll work really well in the ACC. I think he'll recruit well, given those resources. I think that's a great fit for Virginia Tech. And then if he tells you no, then you dust out the rest of the list. But Jamie Chadwell would be my number 1.
From Ryan Simmons. And by the way, it's just another topic that allows us to have conversation and get your opinion and feedback. And we try to do ours and give it back to you. From Ryan, Craig, would you and Grayson still have this team 4th behind Baylor 2014, 19, and 15? I wonder if recent bias to the TCU loss put them 4th in that group, but there's also recent bias of what they just did beating Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, I'd like to get y'all's thoughts on that because we have gotten at least a question the last couple of podcasts about where this team would rank amongst their other championship contenders. So you got Matt Rule's bunch that lost to Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. And that argument alone's pretty good. Grayson kind of swayed me one way because he brought up that defense was a bit better than this one, just in terms of the players they had, like the Bravion Roys and the James Lynches. And there's just a little bit more. Their secondary was really solid with Henry Black and those guys. A lot of those guys I just mentioned all in the NFL right now. So that was a pretty good group. That was a pretty good deal. This defense is good too, but I think up front maybe they had a little bit more that was proven. Offensively, I would take this team over 2019, obviously, but he kind of swayed me towards 2019 over 2021. And then as far as the 2 Big 12 title teams, I'm taking the 2 teams that won Big 12 titles all day, every day over a team who's just won 8 games so far. So, right now, 2021 would be 4th behind the 2 Big 12 title teams. And I think if you match those teams up, you take those teams over this team as well. But 2019 is maybe you can get a little bit more into it, but I ultimately side with them. So, I still am taking all those teams over this team. But if they win, if they win these next 2, they get into a Big 12 title game, they win that, then they go to a bowl game, they win that, and they're a 12 game. Put them up at the very top. Put them up at the very, very top if you want to do that. But right now, no, I got to put them behind those other 3. What do y'all think?
Well, I think if they were to continue on, they go to a Big 12 title game, which, by the way, they still have to beat Kansas State and Tech.
And that's no given this weekend,
Yeah, and who knows what happens with Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, because you don't want to be in the wrong tiebreaker with Oklahoma State because they beat you straight up. Let's not forget that. And so, no, I think if they continue the trend upwards, if they finish, not just get to a certain point, the losses they've had, the loss to Oklahoma State, they're really good. The loss to TCU was nasty, especially after what Oklahoma State did to them. But, there's certain years where teams have bad losses. The 2015 year and 16 could have been even better. Of course, that team was derailed because of injuries at quarterback. They were unbelievably good in 13, 14, 15, and could have been in 16 as well. 19 was a tough team, just like this one. This one reminds me more of 19, of course, than most anything else. The other ones were led by their offense. Not that the offense in the running game is not helping this team right now. Lots to get to. Blake Anderson joins us in the next segment. Let's see, from Scotty, from Ryan on our response. Fair points. They'd have to finish the deal. Yeah, they have to finish the deal.
They finished. Let's talk.
Yeah, it's early to say that they'd be above 4th. I mean, they still have they have to go to Manhattan, and like putting them above 4th right now before they go to Manhattan, and we don't know what's going to happen there. They could go up and lose in Manhattan. One of the things I'll tell you about those other teams ahead of them is they won on the road, and this team's not winning on the road outside of where's Texas State?
San Marcos
and Lawrence. Okay, that's a place that most people go and win, but they're not. They didn't win in Stillwater, and they didn't win in Fort Worth, and they got to go up to Manhattan, which is not an easy place either. So
this is a schedule that was set up if you do things right and you have a very good year when it comes to the injury bug, which they've had to battle through some of those. The schedule with Iowa State, Texas, and Oklahoma, all of them at home, Brigham Young at home, that sure did help. But they took advantage of that too, so you got to give them credit for that. From Fred Jackson, LSU does not have the talent on their team that they usually have. A lot of those 4 and 5 stars are overrated. LSU job is a rebuild of some sort with no quarterback in the room and a weak offensive line. Let's see from.
I mean that's fair points, and you would certainly know better than I would.
I don't know their roster that deeply.
I don't know their roster deep enough to know like what's coming up, like the waves behind for whoever inherits. I'd have to do a little bit more digging into that, so I'll take your word for it on that. But rebuild, I mean. Yeah, maybe so. I don't really look at it as a rebuild job from the sense, because when I think of that word, I think of from like the ground up, and everything's just got to be completely taken down. Now, if that's what you're indicating it needs to happen, then that's interesting, because I don't feel like it's gotten that bad. But again, I'm not as tied in as you are, so take your word for it. But that's a coveted job. I mean, whoever gets that job, they're going to have every tool at their disposal, great talent around them. They just got to ace the hire, and I know that's easier said than done, as we've seen with all these coaching changes we're talking about. A lot of those 9 guys that are nine openings right now, all those teams thought that they had hired their guy too, right?
Yep.
So we'll see what happens, but LSU, I'm definitely intrigued by what their future's looking like.
Matt in D.C., the days of coaches staying 20 years are over. Coach wins, you may leave. NFL may want Aranda in 3 years. Let's finish the season. Matt, I agree. I do know this. Mike Scarborough, who writes and covers LSU for Tiger Bait, called me earlier today. We had a conversation, and he didn't bring up Dave Aranda, and that name's been attached because of the connection to LSU. He brought up Matt Campbell and Lincoln Riley. And there was that smoke, again, false last week about a Riley on a jet to Baton Rouge instead of this and that. But Matt Campbell, you wonder, and I hope for Iowa State's sake he stays. But Matt Campbell, this was supposed to be Iowa State's maybe best team ever. They're good, and they might beat Oklahoma this weekend. But they have 4 losses this year. And, yes, some of them are difficult. Some of them, I think, on the road as well. But the loss to Texas Tech was a kick in the you-know-what.
The loss to Baylor was tough.
The loss to Baylor was tough. They got beat in West Virginia, which still, I think that's the one that
they played terribly.
Yeah.
They played terribly and got outplayed, yeah.
But that's a name that has kind of, it's out there. You don't hear it as much of the James Franklin, no matter what. All right, we got to take a break. Blake Anderson will join us, Utah State, the Aggies. lead their conference. They've been on a nice little run. We'll hear from Blake Anderson next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. They sell cigars, and they have the elite names of cigars. There's a list in front of me, but I'm not even going to look at the list because I know Macanudo and Ashton and Padron and Cohiba and Artur Fuente and Rocky Patel, Romeo and Julieta. Those are the best names, and there's many more. Aging Room, My Father. These are great names, brands of cigars, the elite brands, not just in the country, in the world, inside of their 48-foot walk-in humidor. They also have Vita Dreams, a CBD product that allows you, it's a gummy that you can nibble a little piece of the gummy or take the whole thing, and it helps you fall asleep without tossing and turning and losing valuable time, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour or two. It kind of, next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, wow, this is great. Vita Dreams is available as well. And then on top of that, they have fresh ground coffee beans. And the most popular flavor is Cowboy. Not a surprise, of course, being in the state of Texas. It's Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Tell Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne Smokey sent you in the Town West Shopping Center, Valley Mills in Waco.
When it comes to me and my money, I know the way it should be. I need a partner I can count on.
Refinance your vehicle today at Genco with rates as low as 1.69% for 48 months and have 90 days of no payments. Refinancing can lower your payment, so you pay less for your car. Apply online and get an additional 0.1% off our already low rate. Thank you, Genco. And don't forget, your vote counts. Vote today for your local school to win $1,500 with Genco's School Spirit Competition. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
They're people I trust. They treat me like family. My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's the Black Friday sales event going on now. Come see the beautiful, elegant third-row seat Jeep Grand Cherokee L in stock at Allen Samuels. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited has total values of $3,500 or 0% for 72 months going on now and no payments for 90 days. First responders get an extra $500 cash. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world?
by not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference, and that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Utah State, 5-game winning streak, 8-2. And coming off the win 48-17 over San Jose State. Wyoming coming up next, New Mexico down the road. And we're now joined by Utah State head coach and a friend of the show in Blake Anderson. Hubbard, Texas. Baylor for a couple of years, Sam Houston State. And, of course, we've had him on when he was at Arkansas State as well. How proud are you, Blake, of how your team has gotten on this role and the way they're playing right now? And thank you very much for joining the show again.
Well, thanks for having me, and beyond proud, man. This group has done a phenomenal job to go 1-5 last year and honestly go through a lot of turmoil off the field and transition they really didn't want. And to be real truthful, hired a head coach that they didn't want. In just the way they've adapted and bought into what we're doing and built a really tight-knit family here with the transfer players we brought in, the staff that we brought in, great culture. And, man, they just keep getting better every week. So players deserve a bunch of credit, beyond proud of what they're doing.
What's been the key for you guys in these one-possession games that you're able to do the right thing at the end, hold them off, score when you need to? Because that's one of those stats that you get on the wrong side of, and it's hard to get back on the right side of it. But you guys are rolling along and playing really well in these tight games.
Yeah, we talked about early in the year with considering coming off the year they had last year and really not knowing exactly what we had or what we were up against, just kind of made the focus on being the best team we could be and just being in great shape and knowing at times, probably a good bit of the time, that physically on paper we were going to be the underdog and a little bit outmatched, and our ability to be in great shape and play fast and play harder than the opponent in the fourth quarter was a big emphasis in the offseason. In week one against Washington State, literally they're much better than us in the first half. In the second half, we start really grinding away at them. In the fourth quarter, it just happens exactly the way I scripted it. They got tired. We didn't. We come from behind double digits to win it. It happened again against Air Force in a very similar fashion. And I think it just took on a life of its own. Our kids believe at this point, and it's proven to be true, we're in great shape. We can run for 60, and it's okay if we get down. We're going to come back, and we're going to fight through. And heck, we did it again this week. It just happened earlier than in the game that it has in some of the others.
Coach, you mentioned just some of the feelings like when you first arrived. What has been the process of building the culture, building that trust, and when do you feel like maybe there was a little bit of a turning point in that regard?
I'll be honest with you, other than the conversation that I had with him when I took the job and just made it very clear to him that I understood what they were going through. It's part of the business. It's not a fun part of the business. They lost coaches that they cared about. They had a guy on staff that they wanted to be the head coach. They made it very clear, and he didn't end up getting the job. I made it clear. I don't take that personally. God's brought me in here for a reason, man. I feel like exactly where I'm supposed to be. I didn't expect their trust overnight. It's very similar to the circumstances under which I took the job at Arkansas State. I was the 5th head coach in a 5-year period. There wasn't a lot of trust built there. And I just told them, man, just come to work every day. We'll be ourselves. And somewhere along the way, you'll figure out that we mean what we say. We care about you. We're going to love on you. We're going to treat you right. We're going to push you hard. I don't know that I ever saw that moment where it really triggered, but I never saw a moment where they didn't really try to do what we asked. They worked hard from day one. We've had no issues at all. We didn't talk about the past at all. We only focused on the future and what we wanted to do. We didn't beat up the old staff. We didn't say they did a bad job. We respected the job they did and really just appreciated the opportunity. And I really believe that the guys that were here that stayed, that didn't leave, specifically the 16 super seniors that are going to get talked about this weekend at Senior Day, they made this possible. They really just said, hey, forget the past. Let's move forward. Let's give them a chance. and they bought in, and they just continued to get stronger and stronger. There was really never a moment that you saw it happen. It never didn't happen, I guess, is the best way to answer it.
Blake, with all the changes we're seeing, of course, you've been a part of that as well, and you mentioned that. That's the challenge when you arrive, because there's change everywhere. There's already happened or a dozen coaching changes in college football, and the landscape of realignment. You look around, is it almost a blur, all of what's happening with college football, the NIL, the transfer portal, et cetera?
Yeah, it is. And early signing day has seemed to speed up some of the clocks that we're used to, some of the changes that are being made, and guys being let go, way before you would expect in the past. Players putting their name in the portal with still several games, half a season left. It's a different animal, and it's high school players opting out of playing their senior year to go sign NIL deals. It's not what I expected when I got into coaching. It's definitely changing right in front of us, but it's not going to go back, and we got to find a way to adapt to it and do the best we can at advising kids and creating a great environment where kids continue to grow, get education, and then some of those guys are going to have a chance to go on the next level. But it is a different world that we live in right now than 5 years ago, much less 10, 15 years ago, when people were even talking about this stuff.
How proud are you of your Bearcats winning the national title earlier this year at Sam Houston State?
Oh, that was huge, man. I every opportunity I get to give them a shout out. I mean, half my heart's in Waco with the Bears. Yeah. A bunch of my friends are still, all the guys I played with at Baylor and just Coach Taff and his family and all the people there. I pull for them, and I pull for the Bearcats as well. Watching them go and make that run and finish, and they're still playing great now. I think Coach down there has done a great job. I know they just opened up a new facility. So, I mean, I'm always trying to watch both and pull for both. Love seeing both of them do well.
You ever channel Coach Taff for a pregame pep talk?
I haven't now. I mean, like any of us, if you're around him as much as some of us were, there's some one-liners and Coach Taffisms that come out, but I may be a little bit more, a little louder than Coach Taff was in pregame. I'm not sure.
Is that why your voice is kind of like you've lost part of your voice?
Oh no, I have lost a bunch of my voice over the last 20 years. It is this way all the time, and I just kind of feel like if you want energy out of the guys, you got to give it to them. And so we try to lead by example, and just in terms of the enthusiasm, my emotions are out there for them to see. I think they enjoy seeing a guy that fights for them and gets fiery and will hug them and embrace them, but also chew their tail when they need it. And it has seemed to work really, really well with this particular group. It's something I think they have appreciated, and it's helped us to really build some close bond.
Coach, I got to ask you about your star wide receiver, Devin Tompkins. He currently leads the NCAA in receiving yards, and it's amazing. Jarrett Stearns over Western Kentucky is somebody, with him being from Texas, that I've followed on a weekly basis. He's got a good 40 more receptions than Devin does, and he's number 2 in receiving yards behind him, averaging nearly 19 yards a catch. Just what has it been like to watch the season that he's had, and what has been the key to him having such a big season?
Well, the key to him having a big season, 2 things. Number one, his work ethic is unreal. He is, without a doubt, hands down, the hardest working dude on the field every single day. Off season, in season, doesn't matter. The guy has a tremendous amount of pride in his work and his craft, and you have to slow him down. You literally have to pull him out and slow him down because he doesn't know any other speed but full speed. He makes everybody else around him better. I think he fits the system. We run an offense very, very similar, basically very similar to what Art and Kendall and those guys ran there at Baylor during their tenure. We spread the field out. We pump a bunch of space in. We play fast. And a guy like him, you can put him at any of the skill spots on offense, and you can move him around and create space for him. And he just excels in that area. If you one-on-one him, for a 5'8" guy, he plays above the rim. If you watch his highlights from the season, a ton of his big catches are well above the rim. He snatches the ball out of the air really, really well. But I think it's a blend of his work ethic and then the system that is allowed to put him in really favorable positions. And clearly the quarterback's doing a great job getting him the ball in places where he can make plays.
Blake, you coached under Larry Fedora at North Carolina his first couple of years there as an offensive coordinator. He was at Baylor for a year. We know his success at Carolina and elsewhere as well. What did you learn it was only a year here at Baylor before coaching changed with David Randa and his staff. What did you learn under him when you were at North Carolina?
Well, I was with Larry for 6 years. If I was with him for 4 at Southern Miss, and then when I went with him to Carolina, one of the most organized and disciplined dudes I've ever been around. I learned a ton. He had a 365-day plan. He stuck to it. He was always pushing the guys to be better. He didn't let them rest after a win. He was always coaching them to continue to improve. Very detailed, very passionate, and he believed in recruiting year-round. And I've carried that philosophy. Our personalities are a little bit different in some areas, but the things that I've carried in terms of organization and year-round recruiting and truly holding kids accountable, those things have helped me with every group I've been, and it's one of the things are some of the things that are helping us be successful here. He's got a huge impact on my career, and he's a great friend to go along with it.
Blake Anderson, head coach at Utah State, 8-2, 5-game winning streak. San Jose State, of course, they just took care of business there, and they continue to have a pretty good run.
Coach, I asked you about Devin, but you in your answer, you mentioned your quarterback, and Logan Bonner, somebody I've been following, obviously was at Arkansas State, a Rowlett native. So with the Earl Campbell Award, I've seen a bunch of his big performances. He's been playing, really well as of late. What has it been like to have Logan come on over to the Utah State side of things and have him under center for you guys? What's that been like?
Well, we don't get under center, so he's a big gun.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
Matter of fact, we've been under center one play all year long, and it was a fumble, and it didn't look real good. So we keep him back in the gun. I recruited Logan out of high school when he was 17 years old. He and Brandon Bowling, who's also on our roster, that came with us. Brandon is from Dallas as well. Those guys are both 17 years old when we committed him years ago. When I took the job, I didn't know that either one would follow us out here. They both chose to do so. The relationship they have with me, Coach Cephalo on my staff, that really was a huge, huge factor. They wanted to finish with us. They're both playing great, and Logan just gets better and better every week. This is a little bit different system. The terminology is a little bit different than what he ran the last 2 years. I stepped away from the offense, of calling the offense when my wife got sick, and we did some different things the last couple of years. So he's had to kind of relearn it. And I think every week that he goes out, he gets better. He's done some amazing things, tough as he can be, gets up off the turf when he gets hit. And our guys really respect how he plays through some of the big shots and how hard he works. And we've got the weapons for him to use, and he's doing a great job of spreading around to all of them, including DT, as we talked about.
Blake, you mentioned your wife Wendy, who passed away, and we had you on during the time when she was fighting for her life, and you've seen life at various levels, and you've moved on, never forgetting. What did you learn about yourself, and what did you learn about how she fought for her life as well?
Well, just inspired you to watch how hard she fought to the very end. She never ever thought she was going to lose that battle. We both knew that if God chose to take her home, that we were grateful for just the grace that God gives us, but also she fought to stay. She got a lot of friends and kids that she wanted to spend time with, but just reminded me to be grateful for what I have, think about what I have, not what I don't, and to live every day in a way that honors God and just let him work. He did a phenomenal job through her life, and a lot of people came to know Christ because of how she battled, and I think a lot of people have looked to see how we carried ourselves during that battle as well. And I get compliments and conversation on a daily basis, Coach. I watched what you guys did. I saw what you said. I saw how you continued to praise Christ through it, and it meant a lot to me. So, I've been blessed. God's brought an amazing girl in my life, adopted 2 little girls. We've got a new fresh start here. Never forget Wendy. I never forget my dad, who passed 6 months later. But I'm so grateful that God just keeps blessing us. And one of the things I want to do is just honor her memory and my dad's memory by enjoying what I do every day. My dad said he never worked for a living. One day he loved what he did. He never worked. He just went and met and talked to people every day. My wife felt the same way. And so I want to honor them and God with how I go enjoy and appreciate the opportunity I get every day.
Blake, if one more football question, if you don't mind, and thank you for your story.
Sure.
You have seen what's going on with college football, the Power Fives and the realignment and the changes and the possible expansion of the playoff, if that ever happens, as someone that's not right now in a Power 5 conference, although that seems to be changing with the realignment, what are your thoughts? How would you decide? How would you like to see if it goes to 12 teams? How would you like to see the group of fives included?
Well, I absolutely want to see it expanded. It's not a fair system right now. I mean, it's what we got, and we're seeing it play out in front of us. We saw it with Central Florida. We see the argument that they're having with Cincinnati, and I get it. I mean, I coach at that level. If those guys are playing in that league every day, all year long, I don't know. Maybe they don't have the same record, but if you play the record that's in front of you and you went out, you should have an opportunity, at least the opportunity to go in and play and see where things go. You do it in every other sport, but Division I football. Why can't we figure it out? So if it's 8 teams or 12 teams, I would like to see at least at minimum, at least one group of 5 teams have a shot. Even if they play the number 1 team in the country the very first weekend, they either deserve to be there or they don't, and you'll prove it on the field. So I think at least 1 or 2 teams should be involved in that, and obviously every Power 5 conference should be represented as well. And then at least a ton of at-large bids for teams that have tough schedules and maybe have a loss or two. I think there's a way to make everybody happy if we just kind of get out of our own way and think a little bit more sensible about creating an opportunity where everybody legitimately has a chance to play for a national title. And that's not the case, and it hasn't been the case in Division I football ever.
All right, Blake Anderson, head coach at Utah State. Blake, it's great to hear from you. Won a national title at Trinity Valley Community College in Athens back in '97. Hubbard, Texas, Baylor, Sam Houston State, now the head coach of the Aggies at Utah State. Congratulations on the great run. I know you have bigger goals. Go get them, Blake. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Blake Anderson, Utah State Aggies, 8-2, 5-game winning streak, beat Washington State early. And then had the losses to Brigham Young and Boise State. And a lot of teams who played Brigham Young and Boise State might have a loss or two against them as well.
Yeah, Devin Tompkins is a freak show. Definitely give him a watch if you have the opportunity to do so. Logan Bonner's a pretty good quarterback, as we mentioned, that came over from Arkansas State. But Jarrett Stearns, being from Texas, I've watched him, quite a bit this year, and he's having a monster season at Western Kentucky where they run a, big up-tempo, big points type of offense. But 77 catches for 1,441 yards, averaging nearly 19 a catch. He's got 8 TDs through the air. And, like I mentioned to Coach there, Jarrett Stearns is, about 70 yards behind. He's got 40 more catches. Tompkins is having an insane year. And I don't know where his name's being mentioned as far as the Bolitnikoff and things like that, because I haven't kept up with the award stuff too much. But he's got to firmly be in the mix, obviously, at 1,400 yards.
Well, I'm a Bolitnikoff voter, and I have my vote due, I think, by tomorrow. And I've gotten down to a list. I think there's like 6 to 8 names or 10 or 12. And no question, Stearns is on it. Tompkins is on it. London from USC, who was injured, he's on it. The kid,
entire Ohio State receiving corps.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because the Earl Campbell Award came out today, and Garrett Wilson from Lake Travis High School won it. Olave, who's a fantastic player. Jackson Smith and Giga, is that right? Njigba. He's a fantastic. You got 3 dudes. We got to take a break. We'll come back with more of that next. 349, 365 Sports, Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 1943. That right there by itself, that's how long they've been in business. You can't fool people and be in business for that long. You've got to be good at what you do, and you've got to have great product, whatever you sell. Whether you're in the restaurant business or Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where they're in the heavy-duty business of steel, pipe, metal, and much more. 1943 they began, and here they are with 2 locations that are thriving in Waco and in Bryan. They're building a brand new facility in Waco, and yet don't ever think they'll lose. They will never lose that customer service, eye to eye, eyeballs to eyeballs, handshake the old-fashioned way. That is also why they've been able to handle the ups and downs of whatever's going on with the economy or COVID or much more. It's a great place. You feel like you're the only one there, but you look around, you know there are plenty of people there. Contractors, people who build things, whatever it might be. That's what they do at Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com.
It's Baylor football season, and as always, Berg Colgin Ford supports the green and gold. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgin Ford. It's time for team celebrations and BU touchdowns. Berg Colgin Ford is your home team when it comes to trucks and tailgates. Ford has the perfect truck for you to host a top-ranked tailgate party. Here's to a winning season for our hometown Bears. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Buying made simple at BK Ford. Sick 'em Bears.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
So recently, a northern transplant in our fair city came in to pick up outfitters for the first time, and he was starstruck. He told us that truck accessories were not needed in Illinois. I know, pick your jaw up off the ground. An entire state full of trucks driving around completely nude. Then he said he saw the light when he moved to Texas and found that in Texas, truck accessories were a necessity. I don't know about a necessity, but Texans have a whole different attitude about their trucks, and they give them their rightful place as a family member. I mean, what exactly do you use your truck for if you're not going to put anything on it? All this is a warning for the good people of Central Texas to stay diligent. Don't let your truck look like it came from up north. Put something on that truck, for goodness sakes. A bumper, a lift kit, some running boards. At Pickup Outfitters, we know what your truck needs. So come and see us at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or check us out on the web at createacommotion.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to treat kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. We're wrapping up this 3 o'clock hour. Ricky Thompson, former Baylor wide receiver, played in the NFL in Washington. Sideline reporter for Baylor at 4, Mack Rhodes at 4:20. And the chat room is going nuts. Aaron Wilson, thank you again for yet another super chat.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Aaron.
you on the chat room on 365 Sports.
Did you see Armstrong's response to the Big 12 finding Baylor?
Oh.
They announced the public reprimand. What was the fine overall? Like
$25,000.
$25,000.
Yeah.
Armstrong responded, Baylor gets this back from only one of those students that stormed the field paying for only 1 year of college. So, it's true.
God.
It's a good point. They'll get that back very quickly.
Oh, my God.
Even quicker if the Big 12 just gave their money. They could pay that out of that. But
so that's $25,000. Mack Rhodes at 420. We'll ask him about that as well.
He can't be mad. He encouraged it. If anything, he said he was going to be out there himself. So he kind of set the table, and I'm sure he was fine writing that check.
From Cameron, look on the chat room. My playoff, I don't know if he means for tonight when they unveil the 4 that I won't watch. Georgia, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State. Oh, I think you're talking about down the road. Cameron's an Oklahoma State fan, and they look good because that won't be tonight. But thanks for the crystal ball from Cameron. And, hey, Oklahoma State has been a sledgehammer, a buzzsaw with what they've done of late with the one loss to Iowa State.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on them being this good early on. I mean, I thought that they were good, and I clearly thought that the defense was pretty good. But the fact that they've showed it week after week after week, and the offense is growing and doing more, and young guys are stepping up, especially at wide receiver. Jalen Warren's been fantastic. They've gotten better and better. And that defense is just, I mean, if not for Georgia, we'd be talking about the Oklahoma State defense, all the time. But Georgia's just so freaking good. It's ridiculous. But, yeah, I give Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy a lot of credit. They're a lot better at this stage than I expected them to be. And I expected them to be in the mix, but they're way better than I thought. And I'm picking them to beat Oklahoma here in a couple of weeks. I think that they will go into the Big 12 championship game with just that same loss, the only one really hanging over them. They should handle their business, and I think that, you got to, when Oklahoma lost on Saturday, there was a lot of people very quick to say, well, Big 12's playoff hopes are dashed, and I'm sitting there going, what about Oklahoma State, though? Like, if they win out, they've only got one loss. You have to look at who they played and match it up, obviously, to everybody else, but why not talk about them a little bit more in terms of the playoff? I think they could go in there and do some damage potentially, so, just keep winning and see where fate takes you, but definitely would be happy if I was an Oklahoma State fan right now.
When we come back, Ricky Thompson on Baylor and Oklahoma, plus the game with Kansas State. He's been up there and watched. I've been in Manhattan one time to watch Baylor and Kansas State. I love that Bill Snyder Stadium, the setup and view, and the fan base as well. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
New cars and trucks are coming. New car inventory is low, but GM just announced they will release a steady flow of vehicles through the fall. Now is the time to get on Richard Carr's inbound vehicle list. Choose your inbound vehicle, get on the list, and get your car or truck first. Call Richard Carr Motors or go online to choose your inbound vehicle today. Go to richardcarr.com for details.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrapped fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. house. Full-service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hey guys, sports betting season is in full force with football season entrenched and the NBA and NHL underway and the Major League Baseball playoffs. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity like BetUS.com. BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That's BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses like ours at BetUS.com. 125% bonus on promo code SICK'EM125 or a 200% bonus if you use crypto on promo code SICK'EM200. BetUS, known as America's favorite sportsbook. NFL, college football, MLB, UFC, PGA Golf. They've got it all at BetUS.com. So go to BetUS.com today and use promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200. That's BetUS.com, promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio.
Caleb Williams looking for the first down with time. Dancing around his own end zone. Finally guns it and intercepted. Baylor's got it. Kalen Barnes.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sick'em 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Ricky Thompson, former Baylor wide receiver, played with Washington in the NFL, sideline reporter for Baylor Radio, joins us, and he's been a mainstay of what we've done throughout the year. Appreciate his insight right there, watching it firsthand on the sideline. Ricky, thanks for your time with Craig and Paul. David Smoak, you've seen Oklahoma, and you've seen them at their best. You've also seen Baylor hammer them a couple of times under Art Briles. But have you ever seen them just beat them up like they did defensively in that game on Saturday?
No, I really haven't. I guess the closest that we've seen to that would have been that Thursday night game. There was the blackout. I thought we were really physical that night. But when you strictly go to the lines of scrimmage on the defensive and the offensive side, no, I've never seen us do what we did Saturday. And I tell you, I just about halfway through the second quarter, even though the score didn't indicate it at the time, I told the guys next to me, you know what, I think we're just better. And I know Saturday we were better. I don't know about every Saturday, but Saturday we were better than Oklahoma.
Ricky, one of the things that made them better was that even though they left, you can't leave 20 points on the field potentially against Oklahoma, and they did. And then Oklahoma never made them pay for it because Baylor just reacted like, all right, well, it's just time to go out and get a stop.
That's right. And Paul, I tell you what, the one that was the killer to me is when RJ fumbled on the 15, because at that point we were moving the ball really well, and I thought there was no doubt we were going in to score. Missed a field goal, and RJ Sneed's made as big a plays as anybody that we've had the last couple of years. So I felt really bad for him. He took a pretty good shot and right on the football and lost it. But you're right. Won the game 27-14. Could have easily been 10 more points on the board. That, you know, you hate to say it, that could have been a 2-3 touchdown game with just a break here or there the other way.
So, Ricky, it wasn't a big day in terms of statistics for wide receivers. Oklahoma's got shut down by the Baylor defense. And for Baylor, Gary Bohannon just didn't throw the ball a whole lot. But when he did, RJ had a big first down catch later on, kind of making up for that fumble earlier. But Aranda highlighted their blocking and how effective they were in that regard. What kind of gains have you seen from the likes of Strata and Thornton and Snead when it comes to that element of their game?
Well, I tell you what, Craig, I'm going to back up. I think if anybody would have told me, you, or anybody listening that before that game, guys, you're going to throw for 117 yards.
Yeah.
If you would have told me that, I would have said, we're about to get our butts kicked.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it turned out because we ran for 296. But I can tell you, when Gary Bohannon ran the touchdown in on the far sideline on the student side, Tyquan Thornton had his guy blocked 3 yards deep into the end zone. I watched it. I was watching specifically him in that instance because I thought we might be going to him over the top because they were in the press coverage. But he blew that guy off the line of scrimmage 2 or 3 yards deep into the end zone. Gary scored right behind him. And we've seen RJ do it all year long. These receivers block. They do it hard. They don't mind doing it. And, it's kind of going back into the old era when I was playing and you were just expected to do it. I think we had gotten away from that to a certain extent, but not these guys. They played their rear ends off even though they weren't getting the ball that often, but the catches they made were critical, just like you're talking about RJ making that catch, huge catch down the field on third down. Tyquan had the big play on third on the slant inside. They still made big plays on the outside going in, but just not what I don't think any of us expected because OU's strong point was against the run, not the pass.
So they play Kansas State in Manhattan. You've seen RG3 lose there. You've seen some good teams lose there. Baylor, one of their best memories ever was the 2012 team that beat Kansas State when they were ranked number 1 in the country. But that is a tough place to play. It's not a rabid environment, but it's just a hard place to play. Ricky, can you kind of give us an idea how difficult it can be?
Yeah, it's really loud. That stadium hosts 50,000, but they kind of surround you. They remodeled that stadium. It's really a nice place, and they're good fans. They're just loud. There's not as obnoxious as some that I've seen, but they're really good. It's really loud, and I can tell you when it gets loud, if you let them get momentum and they start scoring early and they get up, and they start running that grinded-out offense, it is hard to come from behind and beat those guys. And I tell you the other thing about this, I don't think I've ever seen a 4:30 kickoff. That is a really unusual time to kick off. You'll play the first half with daylight, second half in the dark, and I think that's a factor. Somebody might disagree with that, but I can tell you I've played before, and on the road at night is a tough environment, particularly with this crowd. And remember, guys, K-State's won 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. They win this game. They're 5-3 in the league, just like we are. They've got a lot to play for.
Ricky, you were down on the sideline. Obviously, this is what you do, but you've been in a lot of sidelines. That, at the end of the game, was one of the strangest things I've probably ever seen when it comes to storming the field. Then everybody have to get off so they can kick a field goal. What were you doing at the time, and how did you navigate through all that mess?
Well, I was trying to get out of the way. I could see across the field that the students were already sitting on the edge of the first row up on the concrete barriers. So I knew they were coming, but I didn't look behind me is the problem. And there were people flying from our side back onto the field. And I'm thinking, God, these kids are crazy. And I look up and there's people my age out there. And I said, well, they're really crazy. Somebody's going to get hurt. But no, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I would not have been surprised if there had been a 15-yard penalty. But before we get to it, I did not disagree with kicking the field goal, obviously. And speaking of that, to have a coach that thought that far ahead, to be in that situation with 3 seconds to go, and in the middle of all the chaos, remember it, to kick that field goal, don't tell me Oklahoma wouldn't have done that if they would have thought about it. I'm not sure they would have thought about it, though.
Ricky, Gary Bohannon, we saw him unleash the legs on Saturday, over 100 yards rushing, most of it taking place in the second half. And Aranda said that was something they were preparing for other teams, and they were looking back at some of their defensive efforts and going, geez, these quarterback runs are killing us. And they realized, like, well, Gary can do all that, and he could probably do what these guys are doing, but even better in some cases. And it just kind of, I don't know, I think it's something they tinkered with, but they finally saw him running with the confidence level and the security level and all of that. Just your thoughts on Bohannon's running ability and what you saw on Saturday, and what do you think that means for this offense moving forward?
Well, Craig, I know what it means for Kansas State. They're spending all this week trying to figure out how to stop it. And that adds another dimension that teams have to game plan for, because Gary can throw the ball, and he's going to continue to do that. But as a radio crew, we've been wondering when Gary's going to take off, when he's going to go. There's been a lot of opportunities there for quarterback-type draws, or even in the passing game where we thought he had lanes to take off with the football, and he didn't pass any of those up Saturday. He took off with it. When the blocking would break down, he would take off. He ran the quarterback draws. He ran the intentional quarterback sweeps, and he ran them very, very well. And now think about what K-State has to worry about. They've got to worry about Abram Smith, Treston Ebner. They got to worry about the guys outside, R.J. Sneed, Tyquan Thornton, Estrada, all these guys out there. If Fleeks is back, all the speed outside. And now they've got to worry about, well, we're going to rush the passer, and all of a sudden it breaks down and a quarterback goes for 11 yards on a 3rd and 10. Those are backbreakers. So I think this is a added element to that offense that is really going to pay off down the line, just like it did Saturday.
Ricky, you get a chance to get him for a very short amount of time going into halftime. And I know there was one game in which he just went right through you because of where he felt at that particular time. What's it been like for you to kind of, as you watch him grow as a head coach, this really being 1 year into this as far as the numbers of games that he's coached, a little bit more than that? What's it been like for you to get to know him?
You know what? And the game he ran by me was Oklahoma State, and I was all for it. We were down 14-0, and I was all for him going inside on that one. But you know what? Generally, when you do that at halftime, these guys are in such a hurry to get in and to work on what they need to do at halftime to get ready to play the second half. And I asked him a question, and I almost feel bad asking him the second one because he's so colorful in his comments and to the point. And I find myself mesmerized just listening to him explain what happened in the first half, explain what they need to do better. I mean, he is so thoughtful and into the ball game, and spends more time with me in that interview than any coach that I've ever done. And I find myself sometimes wanting to kind of shove him on and say, don't you need to go on inside? But at the same time, if you listen to him, you just get mesmerized with his comments and his commentary on what's happened. And he's such a smart guy that keeps his head in the game throughout and is very calm about it. It's really impressive, Smoak. It really is.
So is he a Jedi? What would you call it? We've kind of had this. He can go from Jedi to Bruce Lee to Socrates to Plato, and name them all in between to the Berenstain Bears comic books or kids books.
Yeah, I mean it's unlimited. I mean he is multi-talented in every regard, and I need to go get Berenstain Bears so I can keep up. It's been so long since I read that to my grandkids. I need to go back and refresh myself so I can keep up with some of these comments.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ricky. Appreciate your time. Good luck with the trip to Manhattan. Ricky Thompson, former Baylor wide receiver, played with Washington in the NFL, sideline reporter for Baylor with us. So he and J.J. Joe have given us some great segments and insight throughout the year, throughout this football season. J.J. joins us tomorrow, in fact, at 4:30. When we come back, Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes, next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. If you want to add accessories to your pickup truck, SUV, or minivan, Pickup Outfitters, Jay Eric, the owner, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, can help you out. Online, their website is createacommotion.com. Bumpers, grill guards, bump steps, You want to have your door when you open it up. If it didn't come with it, when you bought something that's high off the ground, it could be an SUV or mainly a pickup truck that when you open up the door, the stairs come out. Most of the time that kind of comes with it, but not all the time. If you need that, they can help you with that as well. If you want to cover the bed of your pickup truck, if you want to maybe protect the bed from things rattling around and denting the inside of your bed, if it's not one of those that you haul around with heavy equipment, you want to put a liner in, they have a lay-in and spray-in liner and different options available. All of that and more. Pickup Outfitters coming with that. If you buy the product and get it installed from Pickup Outfitters, it comes with that installation guaranteed, lifetime installation guarantee. And also they can help you with warranty assistance when you need it. It's Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brad, what makes you different than anyone else, in your opinion, as far as what Boozer's does?
The fact that I own the jewelry store, anything I need to do, will do, or can do, I can do it. The buck stops with me, whereas a lot of places you have to go up the corporate command and corporate channel. Well, if you come in and want to make a deal, we sit there and we make the deal.
And you can find whatever someone's looking for, correct?
Anything is obtainable. I don't care what brand it is, what size it is, how much it costs, large or small. Anything is obtainable, and we can definitely get that in for you to see, look at, or buy.
Do you have
have the opportunity if people have to pay things off as far as a layaway program? What about what you have with financing?
Absolutely. We have 12-month no interest financing. We have layaway. If you want to pay with Bitcoin, I can take Bitcoin now. So if there's any way you want to pay for it, we can find a way out to make it work.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, here we go. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes joins us. Sikkim 365 Radio. So, Mack, you get a letter, I guess. I don't know how that works, that you have been fined $25,000. Was it for storming the field or because of kind of how it became a little chaotic there before the game was over?
Yeah, I think it's more about the latter, and certainly, unique, a little bit unusual because, you thought time was gonna expire and in the timeout to call the field goal, which, obviously that's been well chronicled. So I think it was more about that, the initial storming, and then having to clear everybody off. And by the way, just, thank you to our fans and our students for clearing the field in such a expeditious manner. I'm sitting there going, holy smokes, this is going to be 10, 15 minutes to try to get everybody off. And, we certainly were able to do that very, very quickly. But then the second, everyone coming onto the field. So I think it was more about just, the totality of all of that. And, so we'll move on.
Is the Big 12 tiebreaker something you guys go through and talk about before games? Like before you and David, the athletic department can have a top-down thing that's why you kicked the field goal?
It's not anything that, we sit there and intentionally, talk about. We're certainly aware of it. And, it's certainly discussed amongst athletic directors, pre-season. And then, I pass that information on to coach and Dennis Polian. So we're cognizant of it. We're aware of it. And it played a role in that decision on Saturday. And, coach, and myself and our staff and players have great respect for Oklahoma and their program. And so, it was about doing what was best for our program. And, all of a sudden, fast forward 2 weeks from now, and, that's what it comes down to. And we don't kick the field goal. How are we explaining that? And so, again, we were cognizant of it and made the decision that was best for our program.
I was curious because of the write-up from Bob Bowlesby, or at least the statement about equipment that was damaged. Were those bleachers? Were those like machines? Were those jugs guns? What could that have been?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be really candid with you. We've received no confirmation of what was damaged. So hopefully that's forthcoming. I can tell you on our video, we didn't see that. But that's what we've been told. And so, we trust the conference office. We trust, Oklahoma, and we're moving on.
All right. As well that Baylor football fans have PTSD when it comes to coaching changes, and they've been through quite a bit the last decade. Now you have somebody. You got to stop hiring people, Mack, that other people want so quickly, by the way, and have success. But Dave Aranda's name's out there. That's not a surprise. You know that. Your ears to the ground. You understand that business. You hear about, well, why don't give him an extension now? Do you have kick-in, tie-in, something that kicks in triggers if he continues to have this success, if they continue to win this year, Big 12 championship game, winning the title, whatever? How does that work, if you don't mind letting me know? I know you won't get too much into personnel contracts.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's certainly some mechanisms within the contract. If you do, are you ascertain, achieve certain elements, i.e., playing a Big 12 championship game, i.e., win the Big 12 championship game, and and there's two components to it, right? There's one time, incentives, and then there's some components. We get creative here, and we'll do some things that are permanent, and so they will then last through the remainder of the contract. But I think more important than all of that, and I understand and get that people, because they can't see it and they can't be part of it, are the conversations that Coach Aranda and I have throughout the year, and it's not, I don't work this way. It's not through agents. It's Coach Aranda and I directly. He doesn't work that way, and so we've certainly, I don't know that I can recall and count them, but we've had multiple conversations about this program, the future of it, about him, the future for him and his family, about assistant coaches, their future, and doing all we can to be proactive and to make sure that as best we can, we keep what we think is something really, really special together and consistent and moving forward. And I felt like we did that with Matt. And at some point in time, you reach a point where that person has another dream to go do something else. But Coach has been, we've had some really, candid, honest conversations. All of them are that we have, and I know he appreciates that. I appreciate it, and I know that he wants to be here, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more to do with this football program, and for me personally, it was great to beat Oklahoma because of what they've been, who they are, ranked number 8 coming in, but that's just one piece of it. That certainly doesn't give me satisfaction like we've arrived and we're there and we're at the top of the mountain. We're far from the top of the mountain, and we're going to continue to climb and get better and work hard. And again, I think this football program has a great future with Coach Aranda leading the way.
I know that there was another job, in fact, today with Virginia Tech and Justin Fuente. That job came down, but it does, because of LSU and Southern Cal with his connections to where he was and where he's from, does that make this a little bit more something that you're more aware of or not?
I guess, it's a good question. It's an interesting question, but, I don't know that, like, if we're doing our job, if I'm doing my job, it shouldn't matter whether it's LSU or somebody else. Because what we should be focused on, right, is us, not those programs, but focused on us and our future and stability and investing in it and continuing as best we can to ensure that it moves forward. And so that's really our approach. That's my approach. And so we're gonna continue. Coach and I are gonna continue to talk about the future of the program and his future and our assistants' future and how we continue to make sure that our program continues to grow nationally and continues to be even at a higher level when we think about national relevancy.
Mack, you guys have won some big games since your arrival across all sports, but also in football. You've also had some down moments as well, obviously, but just everything that went into play on Saturday, from the opponent and the excitement of the opponent, the bounce back by your football team after a tough week, the atmosphere, the game itself. I mean, just it's kind of cliche to ask, like, where does that rank all time for you? But in a roundabout way, I mean, how special of a moment was Saturday, seeing the atmosphere and seeing the result itself? And is that one of the better, days, I guess, you've had as far as the football program since you arrived?
Yeah, Craig, it's a great question. And, personally, I struggle. I struggle with it. It's just this inner struggle for me about, trying to enjoy it and where to rank it versus we haven't arrived yet and there's more work to do. And that's a constant inner battle for me. And, I may just be someone that's just sick and needs help. I don't know. And so it's something that, when I try to allow myself and really not for me, but for all of the people that have worked so hard, because that's who we're so happy for. But it was a special day. When you think about just the beauty of the day, first of all, you couldn't have asked for a better day. And then, Fox big noon kickoff. I thought that was tremendous. They were so excited to be here and so thankful and grateful. And, they were, just terrific to work with, every single one of them. And, Scott Drew's segment, holy cow, grand slam, hit it out of the park. You couldn't ask for any better person, and just the message, and Chip and Joanna and all of that. Right. And then the atmosphere within McClain and how loud it was, and just it being packed, and, even the flyover, and, just the totality of everything. And then obviously, certainly the outcome of the game, and, the outcome of the game is huge because of your opponent, because of, who you beat. And, they've been in the playoffs. They're coming 8th in 6 straight Big 12, championships. And so much respect for that program. So, man, it was a pretty dang special day. And if I had to rank it, and to answer your question, it absolutely has to be, probably top 5 in my career when you think about just the totality of the entire day.
Yeah, Mack, you've kind of seen a build from BYU and then Texas and then now. It feels like the fans that groundswell is coming of just people throwing their arms around it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it certainly feels like we've got some momentum. And hey, you're only look. We felt like we had momentum going into the TCU game, so you're only as good as your last game, right? And so we've got another really tough opponent who's playing, their best football of the season, here on Saturday versus Kansas State. But we certainly have some momentum, and again, I'm happy for Coach Aranda and our staff, and our administrative staff, all of them that worked so hard to pull off Saturday, and all of the multiple events and everything they were juggling. And so and then how do we ensure, and here's the biggest question, and this is what we talked about yesterday in our executive team meeting, is how do we ensure that we remain humble, that we continue to have humility, that we continue to press on growing and learning and getting better. And then, quite frankly, knowing and understanding and believing, for his glory, and not with our words, but with our actions. And so, we've got a lot more to do, and I'm excited about, certainly I'm excited about the journey we're on. I'm excited about the journey ahead of us.
I asked you this last week about, and obviously Kansas State is all that matters for the football program, but there is a pending game coming in 2 weeks with Texas Tech, and you have a former coach who's now their future head coach. Have you spoken yet to Kirby Hocutt about what role or what might happen that day with Joey McGuire?
We haven't had an opportunity to have that conversation yet. And, again, I've got great respect for Kirby, and we'll have a conversation. We've had some conversation about other things and staffing and recruits and all of that stuff. And there'll be a time and place for that. And, it hasn't happened yet, but, again, Kirby is a person of great integrity and certainly love Joey McGuire, and he's a person of great integrity. So we'll be good, and we've got to worry about, put all of our energy and focus into what I mentioned earlier, just a really, really good Kansas State football team.
Has there been any disruption whatsoever, Mack, when it comes to when somebody leaves like that and you still have games to play, and a coach that might be on your staff might be looking elsewhere as well? When it comes to joining Joey at Tech or Lubbock, is there any concern about that? Any kind of, distraction in that way?
I think one, again, we've talked about this. What happened is unprecedented. I can't remember when something like this has happened, previously, with the 3 games at the time, 3 games still remaining to be played. And so I think, our message, coach's message to everyone, my message has been, there'll be a time and place for that, but the time and place ain't with 3 games left, ain't with 2 games left, right? We owe it to our young men in that locker room. We owe it to each other that's where our focus and our energy is, and needs to remain until the appropriate time. And I think everybody knows and gets that and understands that.
So, did you ever get claustrophobic in that crowd at midfield when they rushed the field? Were you?
I never did. So it was, seriously, and I get the issue of rushing the field. And look, we want to make sure and ensure that we keep our visiting team, safe, and the officials, absolutely. But, that's also what makes college football special. The joy, the excitement, the rushing on the field, the fellowship. And so, I brought a smile to my face to see our students, our fans, out on that field celebrating with our young men. And I get certainly, again, the rules, et cetera. And we'll move on. And I thought that was a good moment, for Baylor football.
Mack, thank you. Appreciate your time as always every week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Mack Rhodes, Baylor's Director of Athletics, on many things from the win against Oklahoma, where it is in his list of favorite moments and how that kind of goes about his career since he's been the AD at Baylor and elsewhere as well. Dave Aranda and his popularity among the fine with the Big 12 and running onto the field and enjoying that moment. When we come back, the 4 o'clock hour, Craig Smoak off the radar. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on, even though the inventory is not where they would like it to be. And that is, of course, because, inventory has been hard to come by. New cars and trucks around the country. Supply chain challenges have made cars and trucks that are new hard to find. But General Motors did announce a while back that they have been getting around to upping the production. Production's been slow, but cars and trucks are coming, so contact Richard Carr right now to get your name on a new Buick, GMC, or Cadillac as they are being shipped. You can drive a new car or truck sooner when you get on Richard Carr's inbound vehicle list, and you can get your car or truck first as they arrive. In terms of the new offerings, well, check out the Sierra. The GMC truck, if you need a pickup, it's the best. It's got an ideal combination of power and strength combined with refinement and luxury that makes Sierra the best truck on the road. If you're looking for SUVs, we'll consider the roomy Buicks. The Buick lineup of SUVs offer size and versatility to fit every lifestyle, or maybe you're into a little more sophistication and power, well then maybe the Cadillac XT6 or Escalade are up your alley. Cars and trucks are coming, so call or contact Richard Carr online with what you want and let them get you on their inbound vehicle list. But if you're looking to save and drive today, Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them go through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot, and with dozens of other lenders, they say yes when dozens of other lenders say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal at Richard Carr. So go online or come by for a test drive today. And for those in the Waco area, they are your local hometown dealership. So enjoy the chance to earn great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale when you buy a vehicle from Richard Carr. Owned, operated, and run by loyal and proud Baylor Bears.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at marcos.com to make any moment better. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer or order Zach Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's Margaritas and Mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Time for a little Off the Radar. We've spent nearly this entire hour talking Baylor, so taking a look now at some outside stories across various leagues, both pro and college, and we'll start off with last night. Just your guys' thoughts. I don't know if you checked out much Monday Night Football, but
I did.
49ers beat up on the Rams 31-10, and there is already some talk about how much Matthew Stafford has to account for Odell Beckham Jr. now.
He played like 11 snaps.
Yeah, I know, but there's already, dude, Google it and you will already see, is Matthew Stafford already pressing because Odell Beckham is on the roster, much like Baker Mayfield had to do?
You know why he's pressing? Because Robert Woods is not on the roster.
Yeah, but Odell Beckham did grab a couple of catches in his Rams debut, 18 yards, two balls for 18 yards. Was the fourth leading receiver on the team. Cooper Kupp had a monster night, but it didn't matter because, they got their tails kicked by the 49ers. So Rams now 7-3, Niners moved to 4-5.
Yeah, it's been kind of a weird for the elite teams in the NFC particularly, and maybe even in the whole NFL. I mean, throw the Bills into that. But the Bills have had a stinker. The Rams have had two. Well, the Rams lost to the Titans. The Titans are a good team. But the Rams have had a stinker. The Cowboys had a stinker. The Packers had a stinker. Everybody's kind of had one.
You say the Bills, too?
Yeah, the Bills. The Bills lost to the Jaguars.
Who did Miami beat, in the last week or two? Somebody that didn't make any sense.
Miami beat the Ravens. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Elsewhere around the NFL, Le'Veon Bell, his stay with the Baltimore Ravens is going to be a short one. Just 5 games after joining the Baltimore Ravens, B. Moore has cut Le'Veon Bell. He tweeted about it earlier today, said, "This hurts, but it's been a blessing to be here, to say the least. I've enjoyed every second of this short period and got a whole new meaning of what this city is like, and it's a great place to be. I appreciate Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh for the opportunity to be called a Raven." He finished those 5 games, 31 carries, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they've also got Latavius Murray and Devontae Freeman as well. So Le'Veon Bell, you talk about an up and down career, just in terms of where he was just a few years ago as perhaps the best running back in the NFL to just kind of fluttering along, here and there and not really anywhere, to be frank.
Yeah, that sitting out for a year didn't help him.
No,
it didn't help him.
He was so smooth. He wasn't either one that kind of slid, the slide move.
Yeah.
He was very patient, like you see some of the great running backs. Yeah, it's just, man, that holdout, he hadn't been the same.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't like he was injured and working his way back. That was the thing about the holdout, was he's going to be fresh. Yeah, but he has no supervision. None. So how do we know he's really doing the right things to be who he was when he gets back? And when he went to the Jets, I know it's the Jets, but look, he didn't help them any. I mean, that was a mutually negative relationship. So yeah, I'm glad you died on that hill there, Le'Veon Bell, for franchise player, fighting it out, but did it really work out for you in the long run? And now you're a journeyman? I don't really think so.
No, doesn't seem like it. Elsewhere in the NFL, I got a couple more NFL notes, and then I'll move on to some baseball. But Cam Newton's back with the Carolina Panthers. We know that, and had a nice talk with former Baylor head coach Matt Rhule. Of course, Rhule had to cut him previously, but now he's back in Carolina. And I don't know how it's going to work out on the field-wise, but Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson mentioned that prices have spiked season high for tickets with Cam Newton re-signing. around $280 in the Ticket IQ database. That was the average pretty much all year long. Since Cam signed, $403. So it's gone up like $120, which, you put it that way, doesn't sound as impressive, but still, he's got some fans in Carolina, and they are seeing it in their ticket sales.
They are, 5-5, I believe. They were 4-0, then they went into a slide, or 3-0, lost to the Cowboys, went into a slide. Quote from Matt Rhule, I want everything that Cam brings. I don't want Cam light. I want full Cam, as long as Cam is focused on football, which he is, so it's easy. And he had to call it. They had the discussion with the GM, and then they talked to David Tepper and all that. He said the conversation with Cam about what happened prior when he got hurt. He was injured.
And they won.
It was a football decision, and they
won.
And so that's good. That's a very shrewd move by Carolina.
Yep, so up now for Carolina is the Washington football team. So that is the next challenge, and there's the little,
there's the
sub-story.
Bucks stinker right there.
Huh?
Against the
Bucks. Yeah, the Bucks. That's another one.
Yeah, there's the store. I just lost where I was.
Washington.
There's the subplot of Ron Rivera also being the head coach there.
Former coach there. Yeah.
Elsewhere around the NFL, the league has announced that there's going to be a little bit of a change-up after the Super Bowl this season. Typically you'd get like the big Grey's Anatomy, premiere or whatever show they're trying to launch that they wanted to be a big deal, or some special episode of one of their more successful shows. But the NFL has said instead, if you're watching the Super Bowl this year, once that ends, it's going to be on to the Olympics. They're going to have simultaneous coverage of the Super Bowl and Winter Olympics. The Super Bowl is later than it has been in previous years. It's the second week of February now, February the 13th, the date of the Super Bowl. So there's going to be some overlap because the Winter Olympics starts on February the 2nd and lasts until the 19th. So they will cross over. NBC's planning huge cross-promotion, and they need it because the Tokyo ratings were down 49%. So that's their most recent, thing to be able to compare. They were down 49% from the Rio games back in 2016. Obviously, there are a lot of other things in play, but pretty important that they got a lot riding on the Olympics, that they're going to really push and promote this thing, and part of it is going to be having them, using the NFL and the Super Bowl as a way to draw in more eyeballs.
I mean, obviously, COVID and no fans had something to do with it. The woke Olympics had something to do with it. So I'm sure people are going to, the promotion will be like, hey, guys, you like football? How about luge with the political undertones?
Yes. Yeah.
The Winter Olympics. Catch it.
I'm curious to see. I didn't even realize it was coming up, to be perfectly honest with you. I remember, though, once they bounced the summer back a year, that it was going to create that, but I had totally forgotten. So, you'll basically go from Super Bowl coverage straight into the Olympics, and NBC is hoping that turns into some big ratings. In baseball, Noah Syndergaard has agreed to a 1-year, $21 million deal with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They agreed to that deal earlier today, pending a physical, of course. And so now Noah Syndergaard, formerly a Mets great, is now going to be heading to the Angels. And as a Rangers fan, I get to see him a few times a year, which that's great. That's just great.
Just another team that's got better. Paul, who was the pitcher that's a great pitcher for the Mets who got injured? He was on his way to breaking like the ERA record. Last year, the starting pitcher,
DeGrom.
Yeah. So, can you imagine having those two guys on your staff?
Well, and Matt Harvey, too.
That just and they made a run early, but they ran out of gas.
And that was a while back, too. That was a good few years ago when they had those guys together. But, Syndergaard's had some injury history. What do you think, though, Paul? The Angels, I mean, what does this do for them, if anything?
Look, they signed Anthony Rendon. If Mike Trout's healthy, they have Rendon, Trout, and Ohtani. Ohtani is the best player in baseball right now, and the most unbelievable baseball player I've ever seen in my life. But that he's able to do what he does. But I think that it helps them. I mean, it gives Ohtani somebody else in the rotation. If Syndergaard's healthy, shoot. I mean, that's two guys at the top of the rotation that can win you games. Now, the Angels have other problems. And
they have too many. Are they one that don't have enough army ants?
Yeah.
Guys that are grinders?
And the problem is the Angels have, with Josh Hamilton and with Albert Pujols and
lots of dead money.
Gary Matthews Jr. and this is a 1-year deal, so this isn't as bad, but they give big deals to guys who were stars before, and then they get, Pujols is probably not fair to lump completely in with those other two guys, but they didn't get out of Pujols what they thought they were getting, for a decade.
Yeah, no doubt.
God, I looked at him when he was in, I don't know if it was the postseason. It would have been the playoffs, right?
With the Dodgers, yeah.
And I saw him a couple of times at bats, and it's, you hate to see, but they get to that point where he's just a shell of himself with the Dodgers. He gave him a spark on occasion, but not much when they needed him.
I messed this up when I lost my place and talking about the Cam Newton story.
Don't tell me this.
But, you already know this. You know this.
But I want to hear it
I'm
again.
surprising you. But Chase Young, Washington, out for the rest of the year with a leg injury. So as Ron Rivera gets set to face his former team, the Panthers, he will be without his star defensive end. But I meant to mention that a couple stories back, but didn't get into much of the details. But all the signs point to
injury,
all the signs point to a torn ACL, and that's what team officials are fearing right now. So he would need surgery. And he just had 1.5 sacks this year.
Yeah, no, that defense, I thought, was just because. I mean, next year, another year older, they lost some people in the secondary that weren't really great, but they were effective in what they ran. And, they have not been able to get to the quarterback very often. That sucks because that means he's probably not going to be full throttle when they get back to September when they start the season next year. Right?
Yep. Good thing they've invested a lot on defense. But, they're going to have that. It has been a disappointment.
Their problem continues to be they don't have a legitimately guy that can take him to the postseason at quarterback.
No doubt. They've, Dwayne Haskins. That was I fell for that. I was so happy to see a new quarterback in Washington that I didn't realize. that might be a bad pick. And if they could ever just hit on a guy.
It took about 4 weeks for the.
Heineke's kind of
he's
Romo
fine.
light, but he's not going to lead you. He played well against Tampa Bay, but Fitzpatrick was not. That didn't work out either. So
all right, elsewhere, I told you a couple weeks ago about the Cleveland name change that's going on. They are no longer going to be known as the Cleveland Indians, and the name that came out was the Cleveland Guardians. And then there was a roller derby team, also known as the Cleveland Guardians, that said, well, hey, wait a second, we've already had this trademark or whatever, we've had this name for a long time. So now the two have come to an agreement and released a joint statement. The Cleveland Guardians baseball team and the Cleveland Guardians roller derby team announced they are going to share the name going forward. So the Indians will be known as the Guardians. Moving forward, they won't have to worry about changing it due to some roller derby lawsuit or anything like that, but they announced an amicable resolution of the lawsuit filed by the roller derby team, so both will use it. It'll go into effect for the formerly known as Indians in this upcoming 2022 baseball season. And they were supposed to actually launch their full-blown new merchandise, and for some reason that got pushed back. I haven't been able to see exactly why that is. But, the Cleveland Guardians.
That wasn't hard.
No.
Well, you knew it wasn't going to be. I still will never get over naming your franchise after, a highway monument.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very pro-Cleveland Spiders.
I like that, too.
The Richmond Spiders are cool. The Cleveland Spiders
uses spiders or anything like that.
Nobody uses spiders,
I know.
I think that would have been cool. I would have liked that as well. But
there's already a snake mascot in Arizona.
Yeah.
Let's have a spider one in Ohio.
Yeah, but Guardians instead. Brett Bielema is going to miss the upcoming Iowa game. He tested positive for COVID-19. We're starting to see a little bit of that pop up just here and there, but Bielema will not be coaching for Illinois. That came out earlier today. And let's see, I think just one more story here. So, did you watch the Manning cast at all last night?
I did not. I kind of liked it for a couple of weeks, and then I don't know if I like the guests sometimes, but that's okay. What? I did not.
So you missed Phil Mickelson.
I did see a clip of him.
Yeah, well, Phil Mickelson is a believer of the Manning curse. I don't know if you've heard about the Manning curse. There's the SI curse. There's the, all sorts of, if you're the Madden curse. Yeah, that was what I was searching for, the Madden curse. Well, apparently there's now the Manning curse as well, as Phil Mickelson has withdrawn from the tournament upcoming this weekend.
No way!
And he said, and I'm sure there's various reasons as to why, but he says that it's because of the Manning curse, because of the fact that throughout the season, there have been 6 players, current players, to appear on the Manning cast with Peyton and Eli. It's Travis Kelce, it's Russell Wilson, Rob Gronkowski, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, and Josh Allen. And every single one of them lost their game the following week after appearing on the Manning cast. Yeah, perfect. 6 for 6 in losses. So now they put up a graphic last night showing the Manning curse, and what the results were after those 6 guys appeared. So, yeah, Mickelson pulled out of a tournament and says it's because of the Manning curse. He doesn't want to risk it. But, yeah, he was one of the special guests last night for those who tuned in.
So was Draymond Green, and it was he was very interesting to listen to. I'm kind of becoming a bigger fan of Draymond Green as time goes on. I'm very interested in him. He's very
intelligent, very smart, and definitely interesting to listen to.
He's got a podcast coming up, and his first guest is Mel Tucker, as a matter of fact. I'm curious to hear him ask him about
Michigan
LSU.
State connection.
Yeah. So the other one was they had Phillip Rivers on at the end, which, Phillip and Eli are forever tied together. They talked about that. I thought it was really interesting. The other thing was Peyton got a real solid dig in on Eli and said, Phillip, I don't know if you know this, but the only 2 teams that Eli never beat were my Colts and your Chargers. He goes, well, I knew about the Chargers.
Yeah, they've done a good job with that. They've got a little something cooking there for sure, and now their own little curse as well. And this will be the final note. I know you probably never watched Hoop Dreams. Did you ever see Hoop Dreams, Paul, the old movie?
Yeah.
It was back in 1994, and it was actually a reality movie. Like, it was all real, unscripted, and it followed 2 phenom high school basketball players in the Chicago area by the name of Arthur Agee and William Gates. And I've probably seen the movie like 10 times, especially when I was obsessed with basketball at a younger age. And just the rawness and realness, because this is before reality TV was just waking up in the morning. So it was really riveting, a really riveting movie at that time. But in terms of some crossover and sports and entertainment, Hoop Dreams, which some do consider the best sports documentary ever made, it's now being written into a television show. Warner Brothers Studios announcing that Hoop Dreams, the series, will be the first project developed out of a developmental deal with Hillman Grad Productions. The version of Hoop Dreams will not be a documentary feature or series. It will be a dramatic series that takes place in similar circumstances around the early 1990s is when they're going to place it, and it will follow 2 black teenage basketball phenoms growing up in 1990 Chicago during the heyday of Jordan. So similar to what the actual characters were. But yeah, Hoop Dreams, a series of some sort, but not documentary style, will be coming out in the near future. So there's a little sports entertainment for you.
I'll give it a look.
Yeah,
I watched the first 10 minutes of the Brady documentary earlier today just to get a peek at it, and I'm going to finish that. So.
One other note, Mary Hardin, Baylor, Pete Fredenberg, they have that great run. They're in the Division III. They start their playoffs this week. They'll host Trinity. Of course, the Division I or Division III rankings, right now, number 1 in the country is North Central. And then Mary Hardin, Baylor, Wisconsin, Whitewater, the same teams, Mount Union, St. John's, Linfield, along the way. Hardin Simmons is number 9, but they just can't beat, or number 8, but they can't beat UMHEB and Pete Fredenberg.
UMHEB?
Yeah, HEB. That's a grocery university.
Well, Hardin Simmons.
NIL. Get it right down.
Yeah.
UMHB.
The problem isn't not beating UMHB. The problem is they didn't even get a spot in the playoffs despite being a top 10 team.
Exactly.
Make sense of that. That makes no sense at all.
They're number 8 in the country, 9-1, and they cannot get in the tournament. That's it's crazy. Hardin Simmons, hell of a football team, and but they're not in the Division III. So even if you do open it up to 16 teams, even then there's some controversy and politics involved. Armstrong, when we come back and we have the picture of the young kid from Kansas and what he's going through, he has an NIL agreement. It's one of the funny ones, and of course a great story from the kid from Kansas. We'll have more. Here we go. Can we open the lines up, Paul?
I guess. Yeah, sure, of course.
You and phone calls. 254-339-1122. We haven't had a chance to do that. The text line's blowing up. The chat room's blowing up. David Smoak, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie, you and our sponsors. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. I saw Bob Mock at the Baylor game. He was up in the upper level where we are in the media section, the press box, walking around. He does some work up there. Bob Mock owns 4 Marco's Pizzas in the Waco area. In Woodway, Robinson, the newest location, along with Belmead and China Spring. Right now, unlimited. Large 2-topping pizzas, carry out only to one of those locations for $8.99 each. And you can go online. The code is HOT to go. Also, $3 off large specialty pizzas, unlimited medium 1-topping pizzas, $6.99 a piece. Download the app for Marco's Pizza. Get 25% off your first menu price order. There's the crowd pleaser. Sandwiches, salads, pizza, drinks, and much more. And contact free delivery and carry out available if that's what you want. Also, own a soaring franchise. Over 1,000 Marco's Pizza franchises, 4 of them right here in Waco. And they started back in the late 1980s. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Marcos.com.
At Allen Samuels in Waco, we're celebrating the Black Friday sales event. Ram, bringing the first truck brand to take the top spot overall in new vehicle initial quality by J.D. Power. With a new 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star, you can get total values up to $7,250 or 2.9% for 72 months, plus $2,000 in bonus cash. All first responders get an extra $500 and no payment for 90 days at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Hey guys, sports betting season is in full force with football season entrenched and the NBA and NHL underway and the Major League Baseball playoffs. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity like BetUS.com. BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That's BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses like ours at BetUS.com. 125% bonus on promo code SICK'EM125 or a 200% bonus if you use crypto on promo code SICK'EM200. BetUS, known as America's favorite sportsbook. NFL, college football, MLB, UFC, PGA golf. They've got it all at BetUS.com. So go to BetUS.com today and use promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200. That's BetUS.com, promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio.
Well, 2 timeouts left, minute 10 in the first half. See if the Falcons can get something going here. And not there. As dropped his line, he fumbled, but it's picked up as Micah Parsons came through.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Couple of texts from you overnight. Thank you very much for watching, listening. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sport, to the calls. From Dr. Goodrich, can you guys speak to the fact that every school that has left either the Big 12 or the Southwest Conference has gone on to mediocrity since leaving? I think we got to it very end of the show. I'm not so sure.
No, we definitely talked about this for a second.
But he was followed up with it. So Missouri, mediocrity.
Yeah.
Nebraska, very much
Missouri's
mediocrity.
basketball team just had who'd they lose to last night?
Kansas City, University of Kansas City.
Yeah.
A&M, kind of where they always were, but, we see signs of the recruiting if it continues and Jimbo stays, which I think he will.
A&M made a lateral move as far as their overall, performance and what happens, but they made more money.
Yep.
That's why it makes more sense. Like, if I told you could do the same amount of work at your job right now
and get more money,
you'd do it.
Colorado.
So Texas is going to go, win 5 games in the SEC every year, but hey, they'll make more money.
Colorado.
They've been basically irrelevant, quite frankly. They had a little run for about 2 years, just a couple years ago with Steven Montez at quarterback, kid from El Paso. They had some Laviska Shenault.
Well, everyone's had a moment or two, yeah.
Laviska Shenault from DeSoto was on those teams as well. Good player. But, outside of those bunches, there's not really a whole lot to think about with Colorado. No.
Arkansas.
Very up and down. Had their moments, but haven't come close to really winning anything.
So, Dr. Goodrich, thanks for the text.
Well, I guess Arkansas, though, if you go all the way back to the Southwest Conference days, they've done some stuff in the time being. I was thinking more of the last few years.
But since they left the SWC, the SWC they were a contender all the time under Frank Broyles, and then in the SEC they're an also ran.
Yep. Okay.
That's what's going to be interesting is Oklahoma and Texas. Are they immediately in there and competing? I know that people probably don't have that high hope for Texas right now. Oklahoma may be a different story, but even then, I am very curious if they do end up going there and it turns into 6 and 7 wins on a regular basis more than it's 9 and 10 like they're used to, at least Oklahoma's used to. That's going to be interesting to see how the fan base reacts to that because, you talk all that money game, and that's fine, but Joe in Tulsa, who's a lifelong Sooners fan, he ain't saying a buck from being in the SEC. He wants to see the Sooners win, and that's where I think it's going to be really interesting.
All right, to the phone calls at 254-339-1122. Paul?
All right, let's go to Gabriel in Oakland. You're on the BetUS caller line. Thanks for your call.
Well, yeah, I had a question about, college football playoff expansion. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts because, I've been hearing a lot about, 12 teams. I personally think that's too many teams. What about 6 teams? It's a little bit more inclusive than just 4, but also it doesn't not too much to where you're diluting the meaning of the regular season. Just wanted one of you guys' thoughts about how many teams is the perfect amount.
Gabriel, I think that. I think I would be fine with 6. I'd be fine with 8. I'm happy with 12. I'm happy that they're expanding it, and I agree with you that they need to make sure that there's still some weight on the regular season. But the committee on expansion has already announced it's either going to stay at 4 or it's going to go to 12. So those are the 2 models they're going to look at. So while I kind of agree with your point in that it maybe makes it a little bit better, I think that the only way this is going to get expanded is at 12. It's the only way that they can get everybody that they need to get on board to expand it, because otherwise they're just going to keep it at 4, which they're not going to do. They're going to expand to 12.
Yeah, it's a great thought, but they've already ruled that part out. So it's going to be, like Paul said, A or B. Stay the same or triple the amount of teams that get in. And I do think that if you do move towards a more wide open playoff race and Texas and Oklahoma leave in terms of just at least the Big 12, I think that really makes it interesting for the Big 12 schools that will be remaining. The Oklahoma States and the Baylors and the TCUs who have never really had a real chance, to get into that thing, will suddenly have a golden opportunity because there's not going to be Oklahoma standing in the way or the thought that, well, Texas and Oklahoma aren't at the top of the conference. It must not be that good. That BS.
Like this year's a great example.
It's a perfect example. Yeah, the Big 12's down. Why? Because Texas sucks and Oklahoma's a little better than average, I guess. Yeah. No, the Big 12's Oklahoma State's a great team. Baylor's a really good team. But yeah, those two have had their struggles, and I don't know, man. I just want to see some expansion. Like I don't even care what it is at this point. I just want to see more of a wide open field to get some fresher names in there.
Real simple for me. I just want everyone, when they start playing at the end of August or early September, to know that if in fact they have lightning strike, they have a chance to play in the postseason. Even if there's only one group of 5 team, that's one better than what we have now. That's all I want. I just wanted to give them a chance, give them an opportunity, even if that opportunity is very minimal. Paul?
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the calls. And, oops, sorry, that's the wrong tab. Let's go to Owen in Virginia. Owen, thanks for your call.
Hey, thank y'all. Y'all know I'm a West Virginia fan, and it's been very rough this season. I just kind of wanted to get y'all's thoughts on, what does West Virginia need to do to kind of finish off on a high note? I know bowl eligibility is the goal to shoot for right now, but other than that, what are some things that y'all kind of look for that Neil Brown ought to do, or Shane Lyons, the AD, ought to do to kind of get things kind of rolling again and get West Virginia back on track? And a second thing too, I only live just a little over an hour away from Blacksburg, so unfortunately there's a lot of Hokie fans around me. But it's also sounding like Jamie Chadwell is the guy that they really want. So I don't think for Baylor fans you really have to fear about Dave Aranda leaving. I think it's really going to be Chadwell that they want.
I never had a thought about Aranda to Virginia Tech, and I know that there's other smoke about, or at least concerns about other schools, and I kind of made that clear.
They'd have to get in line behind all the other schools that seem like even better fits. But yeah, I don't worry about Virginia Tech. I'm not worried about anybody, quite frankly, right now.
To Jamie Chadwell, that's the guy. I mean, call him right now. I mean, if they've not called him and been like, Jamie, come to the big boys, buddy.
Well, he kind of knows that landscape. Yeah. He's right near there, but I don't have a lot of insight on who they're looking at. I don't. But I'll tell you this. You mentioned about what do they need to do. They have 2 games they can win and get to a bowl. Texas and Kansas. They host UT, and they play Kansas. Now, they can lose both those games as well and end up 4-8. But win a couple of games, somehow find a way, and you never know. You beat Iowa State, about 3 weeks ago? Beat TCU right before that? Win a couple of games, take care of Texas while they're down and out. They're a wounded animal. We've been saying that for a month now. And then maybe handle the game in Kansas, and you go 6-6 and get to a bowl game, and then you just go from there. See what happens. You get extra practices and 3 weeks of practice.
Yeah, but that's not what he wanted to hear. was the bowl stuff. Remember, he didn't. The bowl thing is the obvious, I think, choice. So outside of that is what he was asking about. I think you need a better quarterback for starters. Jarrett Dagey is serviceable at times. He's had a couple games this year where, like the Iowa State game, for example, where he definitely played a major role in them winning that football game. But there's been other games over the last couple of years where he's, directly at fault in some ways for them losing those football games. So I think you got to figure out the quarterback position. I think that would go a long way. Is Garrett Green going to be your guy? Does he have the passing game along with the running ability that we already know that he has? Does he have the decision-making? All of those intangibles to be the guy? Can he be their Gary Bohannon? Can he be their... And then I start thinking about their Brock Purdy. I'm starting to think about all these Big 12 schools and realizing a bunch of them don't have a quarterback right now. Like Oklahoma, it's 2 guys. Texas, it's 2 guys. Texas Tech's had a rotation. But yeah, I think it starts, with quarterback for me. I don't know what the feelings are about OC out there, if it's more of a personnel thing or by design. Maybe some of their issues. I don't know enough about that, but I know he's only been there for a couple years at this point. So I don't know if that would even be an area that you would look. I don't know enough about them. But, I think a quarterback is what I think of ultimately, and just getting better players in there and however you can do that in recruiting in the transfer portal, that's what you got to do. I think the overall plan and layout and everything that they're trying to do is fine. I just think there's just some missing talent pieces and just some things that have gone against them that have made it a little bit more of a difficult climb.
Before the next call, let's talk about the Big 12 for a second. You mentioned quarterbacks, and I know that may be a different topic. Has Purdy performed better than we thought?
No.
Has Spencer Sanders performed better than we thought?
Yes.
Has Gary Bohannon performed better than we thought? Yep. It's unfair with Texas Tech. It's a freshman quarterback, but he was really good last week against Iowa State.
They've had 3 different starters this year. So
Casey Thompson has put up huge numbers, probably better than most people thought, but has he performed better or card than we thought?
No.
Spencer Rattler
No. Shoot Caleb Williams after last week.
Yeah,
No.
Daggy.
No.
Who am I missing? Of course, we didn't know about Chandler Morris playing this year.
Skylar Thompson's been good.
Max Duggan.
Yeah.
No. He's been about the same that he always was, quite frankly.
And you mentioned, obviously, Skylar Thompson has been pretty good for Kansas State. Well, I think that's going to be a just knockdown, drag-out game coming up on Saturday in Manhattan.
And I know there's been other issues, too, like the O-line, especially early on. So I don't want to always – every time I talk about West Virginia, I feel like I'm always picking on Jarrett Dagey, and I'm really not trying to do that. But it's just a piece to me. I'll compare it again one more time. It's like Charlie Brewer at Baylor. It's like you're good enough to win some games, but you're also bad enough at time to win some games. And after a while, I just think that – you kind of know what you are with a certain person, and you need to break free and see what the other side of the fence looks like. And I think they kind of know what they are with Jarrett Dagey and what they're going to be. And he's not the only issue, like I said, but
what does it say if no one can take his place?
I know. They got to find something.
Part of that is that it's kind of like the Adrian Martinez thing at Nebraska.
Yeah.
They think that because you know what he can do, you've probably seen him practice well. You've seen the top end of Jarrett Dagey. You've seen the top end of Adrian Martinez. Every coach thinks that there's just a moment because coaches don't like to give up on guys. So every coach thinks that there's just a moment that they're about to they pop through. I think, just to compare it to Adrian Martinez, the best day of Scott Frost's coaching career will be spring football day one next year when he looks at his quarterbacks and Adrian Martinez is not standing there because he won't have to.
It's been a cloud.
Won't have to try and make it work again and again and again like he has.
And Baylor had to deal with that a little bit last year with Charlie.
It's just one of those things that just clear it and move on.
Before we get to the last call, Baylor News, and we do cover them, obviously the core of what we do, but we have expanded so much. But their soccer coach, Paul Jobson, has stepped down after 14 years. They did not make the postseason. Jack McKenzie covered him quite a bit. So after 14 years at soccer coach at Baylor, they went to the Final Four one year, steps down after 14 years with the program, and they said if after much prayer consideration, stepping down, if enjoyed my 14 years, not sure. I mean, you look at the athletic program and what they are and who they are and the standard they've set across the board, if that was something that had to come into play or it's just time for him to move on.
Yeah, great guy, Paul Jobson. Really good guy, and whatever the future holds for him is going to be good, and certainly appreciate our interactions when we had him. Yeah, he's great.
Can I add one more thing on West Virginia? Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking about it. In addition to what I said about Dagey and trying to also figure out, the coordinator spot, I think I kind of am going to go in the direction of what I was saying about Texas Tech earlier this year and at times is, what's West Virginia's identity? Well, I mean, what is their brand? What are they known for at this point in time?
I thought it was going to be more of a running game setting up the pass, but they just haven't been able to get that done.
It's just kind of whatever they call it the moment. I don't feel like they're a passing team or they're a zone read team or, I don't know what they are really. They're just kind of an offense that is out there. So I think that kind of goes with what I was saying about, coordinator, and I don't know how that's viewed up in Morgantown, but yeah, they need an identity. I would add that as well to the list of to-dos for West Virginia this offseason.
All right, let's go to Chris in Missouri. Chris, thanks for your call. As always, you're on the BetUS caller line.
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Hey, I just got two quick things for you. First thing is congratulations to Baylor on a big win. I didn't have a chance to do it yesterday. I'm really pulling for Oklahoma State and Baylor to make it to the championship game. The other thing is I got a text from Pittsburgh, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, but Mario Lemieux, who is a star player for us and owns the franchise, it sounds like he's selling the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Fenway Group, the people who own the Boston Red Sox. So I don't know if that's true, but if it is. It's sad. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that then. Other people coming and buying it, I don't know if they're going to be as set on winning, the Stanley Cup as Mario was. So bittersweet day then.
I'm happy for
great job by the Baylor.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm happy for Mario Lemieux in the money he's about to make. Considering that's one of the most bizarre sports stories. I wish they would do a 30 for 30 about that. Now that he doesn't own the team anymore, he can maybe be a little more candid. But he came to own the team because the previous ownership group owed him so much money. They're just like, hey, you want it? Like this is what we have. You can have the whole thing. And, of course, they have Sidney Crosby in he's one of the the best players in this generation of the NHL, and Sid the Kid. The Fenway Group is buying it, and that's who's going to own the Penguins now. So congrats to Mario Lemieux on continued financial success.
My youngest brother is Philip is a huge Penguins fan. I'll have to text him and call him tonight if we possibly can. Any
well,
more?
I can hear the disappointment in your voice over that news. So stay in good spirits. It sounds like he's still going to be involved. I was reading a tweet just now because I hadn't seen that story until you brought it up. But Mike DeFabo said a source told him about Mario Lemieux. He's not running away. He's going to make sure the Penguins are doing what they should do. He's very proud of what he and Ron Burkle have built in Pittsburgh, and he's staying on because he'll always be a Penguin. So if there's a little bit of positivity there, there's a little bit.
And I'll tell you the positivity. Look, the Fenway Group that owns the Red Sox, and they own the racing team that they own and everything that they own, the soccer. I'm not as much up on soccer. I think they own Liverpool, right, Jack? The Fenway Group owns Liverpool.
I think you might be right.
They own Liverpool.
They
don't scrimp on anything. They want to be competitive, so they're not going to go in there.
They let Mookie Betts leave.
Well, okay, but they still are competitive. You had to bring it up, but yeah, that was previous GM's decision. Kai and Bloom.
All right, but they were right on the cusp of a World Series until they realized they were right on the cusp.
It worked out.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Maybe.
Thank you for the calls. Appreciate that. The chat room has been great as always today. I didn't mention the Kansas quarterback. Jason Bean started. Obviously, Jalen Daniels was the one that led the upset of Texas down in Austin this weekend. He looks like a good young player. But if you look at all of the Big 12, maybe 3 or 4 are better than perhaps maybe the expectations. Spencer Sanders, who may be living up to what the expectations were because he was always a guy that we thought was dynamic, Texas high school player as well. Gary Bohannon with what he's done, right?
Yeah.
There's no way I thought he would be good, but, more of a bus driver. And maybe in some cases he has on Saturday against Oklahoma, he was driving the bus and he was ramming his bus into people. And he really has been a nice breath of fresh air for Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, half the league doesn't know who their starting quarterback really is. Oklahoma, who is it? Is it Caleb Williams or is it Spencer Rattler now? I mean, there's at least there wasn't a question heading into last Saturday, but then Caleb Williams got benched. So Spencer Rattler comes in and doesn't do much more of anything than Caleb Williams was already doing, quite frankly. He didn't make much of a difference at all against that Baylor defense. But, they've had that issue this year. Just going down the standings of Oklahoma State, they're really good. They've got Spencer Sanders. They know what their deal is. Baylor's got Gary Bohannon. They know what their deal is. K-State's got Skylar Thompson. They know what their deal is. Iowa State's got Brock Purdy. So those 4 teams are all set. But, Oklahoma with their flip with Rattler and Williams. You got Tech with the 3 starters that we've seen this year. Texas with the 2 starters. TCU with 2 starters. West Virginia, you got Daggy, who's really the guy, but then we've seen the little wrinkles with Green at times.
And as you mentioned that, I'm not interrupting you. Would continue. You're talking about teams that are struggling, and then you look at why their quarterback play.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, all those teams I just mentioned are under 500 in the Big 12, and then Kansas, obviously, the injuries led to Jason Bean being the guy in the beginning, and then Daniels this past Saturday. So it's been very topsy-turvy in terms of solidified quarterbacks in this league, and the ones that have them are all in the top 5 right now. The only one not is Oklahoma, although it kind of seems like Williams will still be the guy. But you did mention Kansas there, and you did tease that NIL thing, which I was going to mention off the radar, but I didn't have time, so go right ahead.
Armstrong, do you have the image of the young man from KU, the fullback who had not played an offensive snap prior to the game Saturday in Austin? Jared Casey has become a rock star. He caught the 2-point conversion. He got hit as he caught it. His mom
that was
and dad,
the most impressive
video.
thing. Yeah, he took a pop.
And it actually would have been, and they didn't throw the flag, but if he would have dropped it, it looked like there might have been even targeting, not purposely. And he held on to the ball. He is doing an endorsement for Applebee's.
That will run in Kansas.
Now,
Kansas
which is where they're based.
That's awesome.
That's where they're based.
And one of the things about, we've seen the NIL, is it going to be good or bad, and is good or bad? That right there is where the NIL is damn funny. That's great.
That's
awesome.
great.
Not
And
funny, it's awesome.
Good for him, because it might have been years before that ever happened, and then at that point, the moment's passed. Like, he can capitalize on this moment, which is something he may never happen again for him as long as he lives. So yeah, go ahead, make sure that is. I'm wondering if the post game meal was at. That's the thing about is the post game meal at Applebee's. It's open late pretty much everywhere.
Big appetizers fan or something. Like, does he have a connection? But I mean, regardless if he does or doesn't, that's very cool for him. It's certainly not something I can imagine he was thinking of at all, ever really prior to Saturday. But yeah, you make a big catch like that and get a big program-defining win, building win for Lance Leipold, and good things happen. So I was very happy for that young man, especially seeing the video with his parents' reaction. That was very heartwarming, and I was just happy for KU. They've been through a lot. I'm not sure if they would reciprocate it if the shoes were reversed or the roles were reversed, but I don't care. They've been through more than a lot of players and fans should have to go through these last several years. So enjoy that win, and we'll see if they can't get another one in the not so distant future.
Michael Goodrich, the doctor who we read his text earlier on the show, was asking about where is the best chicken fried steak dinner. Texas Roadhouse. I know it's what do you call it, Paul? It's a chain, right?
Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse has great chicken fried steak in Waco.
In Waco? They're specifically in Waco.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Cups.
Cups used to be one of Art Browse's favorite places to eat. Burgers were there as well, kind of a hole in the wall. So that's from Dr. Goodrich. If you want to text us, 254-339-1122. He has, who has the best chicken fried steak, in Waco? I can't mail you the best in Virginia, mine. I'll have to send you a gift card. You guys in Waco, do you know about chicken fried steak? Oh, my God, yes. I don't eat a lot of it, but I do like it, no question.
Mike, look at it. I know about chicken fried steak. I mean,
You've had a chicken fried steak before, sure. Yeah, no, Cups, I don't really know of the best place. So yeah,
I know that Texas Roadhouse, and we've been there before.
That's a chain, though.
Yeah, that's a chain.
George's has a good chicken fried steak.
Yes, George's.
George's really good chicken fried steak. Cups Drive-In has good chicken fried steak. I don't.
All right, but there you go, Michael. Thank you, Dr. Goodrich. We appreciate
those will work.
That. Zentner's daughter in San Angelo. Apparently used to have a great place for chicken fried steak.
Statewide, Marys and Strawn.
Aaron Wilson, by the way, Jonathan Garibay is getting NIL love from Church's Chicken for his 62-yard legs.
Yeah, there you go.
Good for him. He absolutely deserves it.
That would have been good from 65 or 70. He just where's 52? Okay, 62 in Lubbock. You get a little wind, and banged it. I mean, just
I have a
drilled
question.
it. Yep.
Deep down, do you think Joey McGuire's happy that they got bowl eligible, or what do you think he would rather have? Or I guess he gets to. I mean, will he be able to help coach bowl practices, or?
I would think I think he's helping with game planning, and he's doing a lot of, meeting with the players, et cetera. Plus, obviously, the recruiting part of it. I would think.
Yeah, but
I would say. You want to take over a program maybe that's down a little bit. There's a reason why he's a coach now. But I would think the extra practices getting ready for the bowl game are invaluable.
Well, then again, when it's not your team,
though.
But
but the players who are coming back, that's an extra almost 3 weeks of practice.
I do think that especially if you're in the Popeye's Chicken Bahama Bowl or whatever you're going to be in at 6-6, that's it's an exhibition game. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose it, and that's 15 more practice you can get to. Say, this is how we're going to practice, this is how we're going to do things under my regime. That's a jump you get. Now, whether it's your team or not, you can tell Sonny Cumbie, this is how you're going to do this. And if Sonny Cumbie doesn't like it, then you can say, all right, I'm going to take over for the bowl, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, NFL Hall of Fame writer, his thoughts on many things. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
If you are looking to buy a new home or sell the one you're in, you need to call my friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. As a matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, you probably just need the family team. Lance is recuperating. He had knee replacement surgery, doing well, I'm told. But Lance is a local realtor with a unique perspective, 254-214-3713. And he is going to help you get that best price on your home that you're selling. And right now it's a seller's market, so you're going to get a great price, but make sure you get the absolute best price, because if you have to buy another home, you're going to dump a lot of that money into the new one, and you need those two deals to go as smoothly as possible. That's why you hire a realtor. That's why you hire a guy like Lance Donaldson to be in your corner. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgin Ford proudly celebrates the Panthers, Cadets, Lions, and all the Central Texas football teams as they march their way through the season and down the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgin Ford. We'd love to show you our Broncos, Raptors, and Mustangs. These vehicles are winners with their sporty options and designs. Nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Nitchie Group Insurance Agency. With the Nitchie Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Nitchie Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Nitchie Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Erie Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice, or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com, or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
By the way, one of the chat room from Jake and Saeed, they asked me about any updates on Chapter 2 expansion. It's been very quiet, and it's been very quiet because nothing's happened yet with the Pac-12 and what they need with a new network, a new TV deal. That kind of has put things in limbo because that is when you can react to that because that kind of then sets the table, and then you want more than that. And so it's kind of negotiations there. And the other part of it is the fact that I had mentioned that if, in fact, they were going to start Chapter 2, the earliest would be, but they would want it to be by the end of November. It's the 16th. And so it's been quiet so far. But I still think the Pac-12 TV deal could then start in motion Chapter 2.
I know we have John, but, yeah, that's something that for anybody who's just tuning in, I mean, the Pac-12 part of this is like the key is one of the linchpins, I guess you would say, into moving into that next wave. So, like, until that gets done, that kind of puts other things in limbo. But also there was a story earlier today about CBS and their future and what they're going to do to replace the SEC. And I've wondered about that. We've talked about that. Like, they'd given no indication of how they were going to replace Southeastern Conference football. But then there was a report today that, they're looking at the Pac-12. They're looking at the Big Ten as well, and there was no mention of the Big 12 that I saw, but that obviously would be along those lines. So if the Pac-12 got some massive deal from CBS or something, I mean, that could change what the Big 12 is then looking at, so on and so forth, domino effect, and hopefully that makes sense.
All right, we're now joined by the Hall of Famer himself and John McClain, Houston Chronicle, Waco native, went to Baylor, joins us on Sikkim 365 and 365 Sports. John, I know that parity is a big deal in the NFL, but I want to get to the elite teams. We've seen all of them with a just throw up on themselves type game. Give the teams who beat them a lot of credit. Tampa Bay losing to Washington, Cowboys in Denver, among others. Is that just because there are no great teams, or is that just normal and I just feel like it's different?
Right now, there's no great teams. If you lose your quarterback, like Cleveland did, like Green Bay did, injuries tell the tale usually, especially depending on who it is, how long they're out, and who they play. That's paramount every year, especially when it comes down to the crunch time of November and December, and this year for 2 weeks in January. But there's not one great team. Hopefully Kyler Murray can get back to Arizona, and the Cardinals can pick up where they left off when he was there. One team that we probably can count out, we can count them out as being elite, is the Rams. They could whip up on the Lions and Texans in back-to-back weeks. Then they get beat up physically by the Titans and the 49ers. The Packers have lost one game when Aaron Rodgers is healthy. And then there's teams that are coming on like New England. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender because of a rookie quarterback, even though he's playing well. But of all the games I saw this past weekend, what Patrick Mahomes did to the Raiders in a very big AFC West game, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. That is the Patrick Mahomes that we've been expecting, and now they are finally back in first place, and I do not expect them to relinquish it. By the way, I just got a tip here. Dave Aranda is a candidate for the Little Brothers of the Poor High School down south of Houston.
Oh man, they're a juggernaut, John. That's gonna be tough.
John McClain, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
John, what did you think of that Oklahoma game and the physical dominance that Baylor exerted over them?
It just made me more upset about TCU. Why couldn't Gary Patterson have waited a week to get fired and then let him inspire the Frogs to beat the Cowboys instead of Baylor? I thought, my goodness, Chandler Morris is going to pick Oklahoma State apart. He was awful. But, hey, it is what it is. Bouncing back, beating up the Sooners, watching Lincoln Riley whine and cry into that game was great. And I'm so happy for Baylor. I hope they win out. Hope they don't have a letdown at K-State. Think they'll beat Tech. But, by the way, have y'all heard what they're calling Kansas?
No.
The bowl assassin.
The bowl assassin.
Oh my goodness.
That's good. That's
Bingo.
really good.
Yep.
That's really good. John, shoot, I'll stick with Baylor. I mean, that was such a great atmosphere on Saturday. Just the game itself was a fun watch as well, unless you were an OU fan ultimately. But just what have you – I mean, you've talked about Dave Aranda a lot, but just what have you made of just the steps that you've seen taken this year, the type of physicality they play with, the type of clarity they have offensively this year? They have an identity. Just what have you made of the night and day difference from obviously what was a not normal season last year?
It starts up front on both sides of the ball. They used to get battered on the offensive line, something terrible. I remember the West Virginia game last year, and the Sims brothers just assaulted them up front. Nobody beats them up anymore. The defensive line is so much better. There's got to be one person, not two people, but one person had to said, hey, what about moving Smith back to running back? Somebody had to come up with that idea that others may have said, hey, that's a good idea. Let's take it today. And Aranda signed off on it. I saw a ranking on Mel Kiper last week that has Abram Smith as a fullback. I'm thinking, if you watch that game, that guy's not a fullback. That guy's a running back, and he is a physical, punishing running back whose stock is just going to continue to climb. And watching them beat OU it reminded me of the RG3 days. And of that game, which is still one of the greatest in Baylor history. And this one is going to be right up there. And watching them talk about how Dave Aranda has Lincoln Riley's number. And I'm sure Riley would be happy to kick in some of his multi-million-dollar contract to get Aranda one of those jobs at Washington, USC, LSU, just to get him out of the conference.
One of the things.
Hey, wait a minute. I take that back. No, Lincoln Riley can't get to the SEC quick enough. And I'll tell you something else. This has been making the rounds. The school that is happiest in the SEC that Texas and OU are coming, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
There's some good memes on Vandy and then welcoming in those two for sure coming out of this weekend.
On the Abram Smith story, the word that I'm getting, and it was kind of just as they were going through the early offseason, John Lovett had transferred, and they wanted to go to the wide zone. They had hired Grimes and then eventually Mateos, and they were trying to find out who was going to be that guy. And I don't know if it was one, I think Dave Aranda asked it or Jeff Grimes asked it. The bottom line is David Wetzel, Juice Johnson, Joey McGuire. He had played against him when he was at Abilene High, and Joey was at Cedar Hill. They all kind of pretty much in unison mentioned that, hey, we got a guy that played running back. But Dave Aranda, I believe, is the one that broached the topic first.
Well, good, because it was one of the best moves I've ever seen in Baylor history, and I go back to 1960 and I hope they can keep it up. I can't wait to see how he gets evaluated when the NFL starts doing its legitimate evaluations and they start watching the tape and the way he breaks tackles, runs over people, and still makes a lot of long runs.
Mm-hmm. John, a couple of NFL questions. If you were the Rams, would you have brought Odell Beckham Jr. in, given the fact that he's gone from Cleveland because of chemistry issues?
Well, he's gone from Cleveland because he was hurt for 2 years and he didn't produce. And it's a rental. It's like a baseball deal at the trade deadline in baseball where they get them for the rest of the year. And the Rams, they're looking to add weapons of experience. They're all in on trying to get to the Super Bowl in their own home stadium and be the second team in a row to do that after it's never been done before. So I have no problem with it. And it's not fair to judge him after a short period like that. It's going to be judged over the rest of the season. But man, oh man, watching Matthew Stafford, what's happened to him the last two games, nobody is mentioning Stafford and MVP in the same sentence anymore.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. John McClain, the up and down roller coaster of the emotions. His Twitter feed, watching him watch Baylor or covering the Texans is something that is it's worth the follow.
Well, maybe next time you talk to Aranda, you can ask him for the real story of how the Smith thing came up, if it was him specifically or whatever. Because he's touched on it a little bit, but he's never, I don't think, ever gotten into like that specific of a
I have done. I talked to Juice Johnson about that once, and I remember Juice was like, it was kind of like just maybe a coaches meeting.
Yeah.
And David Wetzel's name popped up, and Joey McGuire, who had again faced him in high school. But as far as like, did someone go, hey, by the way, I believe Dave Aranda's the one that said it, and I'm sure that Grimes and Mateos and all the other ones I mentioned, Juice Johnson said, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't immediate either. But we saw him in the spring game. There was this massive hole on a zone, a wide zone, and all of a sudden you saw this kid running right through it, like the way you're supposed to. And I was like, man, it looks good. It wasn't easy, but it has turned out to be a phenomenal move, no question.
Well, if he keeps pace with what he's doing right now, he's going to have the single-season rushing record at the end of the year. He's going to break Terrence Ganaway's record. He's on pace to do that. Obviously, if he has like a bad game coming up and only got like 45 yards or something, that would kind of crush those hopes. But, given if he goes out these next – we know they have 3 games. They might even have 4. But if he goes out there and does what he's been doing, then he's probably going to walk away as the single-season rushing record holder, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. From 405, that's in Oklahoma State, a state of Oklahoma. From Crone. Hey, it's Crone from Stillwater, Oklahoma State defensive stats. Since the Iowa State loss, the starting defense is yet to allow a team to reach the end zone. The only offensive touchdown was against the second-team defense. Additionally, following the tip pick against West Virginia, fumble against TCU, the Oklahoma State defense continues to be dominant on possession following turnovers. They have given up just 3 points and allowed 6.6 yards per drive following turnovers. Per drive.
Yeah, Baylor got turnovers against them and didn't do anything with them, if you'll remember that. That was one of the big bugaboos coming out of that game, was the fact that they got some turnovers and then the defense didn't allow them to do anything with it. So, no, they're incredible. I mean, they are a really fun unit to watch. And I said earlier, if not for Georgia's defense, I think there'd probably be a lot more people talking about Oklahoma State's defense. And I feel like here over the next couple of weeks, depending on what they do, we may finally hear a lot more people talking about them the way that they should, so long as Oak State handles their business. And obviously, not this week, but the week following, no matter how down Oklahoma is, they have absolutely owned that series, Bedlam, with Oklahoma State. So, that to me is going to be a big barometer of where this all-time potentially great Oklahoma State team falls. Is you got to beat the Sooners. You got to. It's in Stillwater. You have to beat Oklahoma this year. I mean, you have to. Bottom line, but they are a very good team, and I do think they could make some playoff noise if they just keep handling their business.
Crone, student at Oklahoma State, thanks for the text.
Enjoy that, man, because you never know. You never know when these types of special seasons are going to come around. So if you're a student especially, enjoy the heck out of this ride. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, and here's the deal. They could be like LSU. You have the greatest team.
Exactly.
You've had other national championship teams that one would have eaten alive, and then 2 years later you're firing the coach. So
think about all the kids who came to Baylor after the Art Browse years thinking, like, we're going to kick some butt in football, and then it's like Jim Grobe's here.
All right, that's one Armstrong Sims, as a matter of fact.
Exactly. He came right after all that success and had a couple years of just not so much. But enjoy it while you can.
That's why with them 8-2, Baylor, or whoever your team is, Cincinnati undefeated, whoever it might be, enjoy it every day, every moment, every game, every win. And sometimes you let the outside stuff become a distraction. I get it, the nervous, the anxiety, the concerns, but make sure you are enjoying it, that you are enjoying it. All right, now, we continue to get asked questions from you on the chat room, and I've sent this to the partners yet again, Colt, Ashley, and Brian, about Sikkim 365 or 365 sports caps and T-shirts. It's been a distribution issue to get all that done. We continue to work on it. Gary Lewis, with Bob Williams, Jeff Grimm, and a lot of you have asked that question. Dr. Goodrich was continuing to try to work on that, and I'm going to get more focused in on that myself if I can as well. When we come back, Paul Catalina's Top 5, 365 Sports, and Sikkim 365 Radio.
BetUS.com, the 3-decade leader. If you are in the betting game, and if you're not, if you want to just, dip your toes in the water, how about using our promo code SICKM125 or SICKM200 at BetUS.com? Right now you can bet on the NFL, college football, college basketball, the NBA, PGA golf, UFC, boxing, tons of stuff. Plus, they've got things from around the world. There's soccer going on. You can bet on it, BetUS.com. So use our promo code SICKM125 or SICKM200 at BetUS.com.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 fits for Virginia Tech. As most of you know, Justin Fuente, no longer the coach in Blacksburg, and will be packing up his office today. The 11th coach, right, that's been let go? 12th? The 12th coach has been let go already in the 2021 season. All right, number 5, Mike Elko. I mean, this guy's a defensive mastermind, and look, if you watched the Ole Miss game last week, the Aggies did not lose because of their defense. They lost because of their offense. They did not lose. I mean, Mississippi State maybe got over on them a little bit, but, I mean, even so, if you have one bad defensive game all year, that's pretty darn good, and this guy's going to be a head coach soon. Virginia Tech was built on Beamer ball, which was defense and special teams. Offense was very secondary, and the greatest team they ever had was when they had a once-in-a-lifetime player in Michael Vick. So, Mike Elko, I think, would be a great fit at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, just the defensive mentality, I think, would definitely fit in with Blacksburg and what their history has been. Like you said, he's going to get his shot, and I think that maybe it was looking as though that wouldn't probably come this offseason. But, man, the more these jobs open up, there's only so many places to look. And quite frankly, we are at the point of, like, we've recycled the recycled names at this point in terms of there's so many jobs and just so few guys because – you're pushing out all these other coaches, and they're available, but they've just been fired, and to jump up and replace them. I mean, there's only so many guys, below those levels that you can go and find that are going to be that head coach that you're looking for. That's going to be the next Beamer or whoever. So, yeah, really important decision. I think Elko is definitely a guy that you could look at multiple job openings and say, yeah, he should definitely be somebody who gets an interview.
Yeah. All right, I've got 3 new ideas on this list and 2 recycle names right from the blue bin.
Well, that's because that's who the good coaches are. Exactly. So,
all right, number 4, Marcus Freeman, defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. This guy is really did a great job at Cincinnati. He's doing a good job at Notre Dame. He is high energy. He is someone who is going to be a really, really fun head coach to watch. I'd like to see Marcus Freeman get this job or get any head coaching job. I think Marcus Freeman is, if he doesn't get one in this cycle, which I would be surprised if he doesn't, considering there's so many jobs open, he'll be in the next cycle. In 2022, Marcus Freeman's going to be a head coach. So if you're Virginia Tech and you like him, why not make it 2021?
Yeah, he's a little young I think he's only 35 or so. But, yeah, great young coach, a lot of energy, like you said. Players seem to love playing for him. Obviously very well respected, highly thought of, and very much on his way up. Good recruiter. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't know enough about him to know if he's like polished and ready to make that jump, but it seems like he is because he's being mentioned a lot. And if he is, then absolutely he's somebody that needs to be given a look.
Yeah. By the way, the last 2 guys on the list are Notre Dame defensive coordinators at one point too. One of them Mike Elko before, and now Marcus Freeman now. Number 3, Bill O'Brien. This is a recycled name. He's the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Look, and we know what happened with the Texans, but we also know what happened at Penn State. And Penn State's in the same region as Virginia Tech. That is somewhere he could go and probably has some recruiting roots still, even though so long after that. Bill O'Brien, if they want somebody who's got knows what NFL coaches want, all these different kind of things that you check. Bill O'Brien, it's kind of uninspiring, but again, you could do worse than Bill O'Brien in my opinion.
Yeah, you could definitely do worse. Sure. I don't really have a solid thought on this. It's just that he's, like you said, I think the word that you said, he's very uninspiring. Yeah. He's very uninspiring, just from my point of view. I don't know if it's the NFL thing or I don't know what it is. I've just never been all in on Bill O'Brien, even though I know he's a good coach. But yeah, I would have to imagine with his experience, it's only a matter of time until, and as we know, he's part of the Alabama rehab program, so he's got to get a head coaching job here pretty soon.
Well, so was Sarkisian, and we've seen the first year at Texas. However, the thing about Bill O'Brien is the fact that Nick Saban did hire him, and that right there is not bad to have on your resume.
Yeah. All right, number 2, Tom Herman. All right, he is fired at 7-3, and I get this, and I had a short discussion.
Would give a body part.
I had a discussion with a guy on Twitter, and I understand. Nobody, and I told him, nobody in the world has been more critical of Tom Herman than me. I will take that to my grave. I think he got myopic on offense. I think that he's a lot to deal with, and all those things. But Blacksburg's a little more isolated than Austin. You don't have as many media commitments. It's the amount of stuff that just comes at you and at you. I don't think Tom Herman's a guy who needs to talk at a microphone more than once a week or twice, and I think you can contain that. Blacksburg's a place that is very loyal fan base, that if you're going well, believe me, they will be behind you. You can be kind of eccentric there, and he's a guy out there, if you're looking for somebody with success, he won in Houston. He was 7-3 and got fired. He didn't get fired because Texas was a little uninspiring, but again, they were winning more than they were just right now. So, he got fired because he couldn't work well with those people at Texas. Well, I don't know. It's an interesting name, but again, I can see if you're a Virginia Tech fan going, no.
Yeah, if I balked as a Virginia Tech fan, I think it would probably be him being a number 2 because I would definitely have probably a couple of the names that you mentioned, like an Elko or a Freeman above him. I just think they're sexier names, so to speak, right now. But I did bring this up yesterday. Where is Tom Herman in the whole coaching carousel thing? How is he viewed in this? And He's in the NFL now, obviously after losing the job at Texas, but to me, he's a college coach, like more so than he is an NFL coach. I don't know. Maybe he is more of a Kingsbury type of guy, but I would have to think that there's got to be some people out there that are looking over all of these coaches that are available and know which ones are, realistic and are not. And Tom Herman would be a nice name who does have a track record. It may not be the best or perfect by any means, but he can win some games, and he has shown it before. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see somebody, reach out and see if he's ready for a round 2.
Yeah, and
JG, Paul X Herminator Catalina.
Yeah,
I do say though he needs to mature a little bit. Whenever he takes that next head coaching role.
Maybe. Although I don't know with him, but maybe he's been humbled just a little bit.
Yeah, and that's I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet that maybe that's part of it. That's why I put him on this list. All right, and number 1, this is the guy. The rest of the 4 don't matter. If you can get this guy, he is perfect for you, Virginia Tech. He's perfect. Jamie Chadwell. Go get Jamie Chadwell. His attitude is great. He's going to recruit well given those resources. He's going to do well in the ACC. It's a great time to hire a new coach in the ACC because there's not really a great team right now. Clemson's a little down, and that may take a couple years to really get right. Hire Jamie Chadwell right now, Virginia Tech. Get him doing the hokey pokey before the sun sets.
Yeah, he's a guy that has been a hot name for, before the coaching carousel really got started. He was a name at the top of the coaching carousel that didn't even exist at that point, right? Him and Billy Napier. Those are kind of the 2 names that you looked at and you said, who are the guys ready to make the next jump up? And it's those 2. He doesn't have a lot of experience at that level, at the Power 5 level, so to speak, which I guess you could consider a knock, but maybe not. Maybe you see past that and see what he could be once gaining some experience there at the Power 5 level. But yeah, he's a hot name for a reason. Done a great job with Coastal Carolina. Obviously had some adversity, was quarterback going down. But this seems like it would be a perfect fit, and we'll see if it is for Virginia Tech here pretty soon.
All right, to all of you in the chat room, all of you in the text ball, great stuff with the top 5. Again, every single day to wrap up the show. J.J. Joe, former Baylor quarterback, joins us tomorrow. A few other guests as well, working on maybe Tennessee and a couple of other programs to check into. Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie. Jack's on his way to the football media session.
Playoff rankings tonight. We'll see what that looks like.
I won't watch it, but we'll talk about it, I'm sure, tomorrow, along with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Thanks to our amazing sponsors every day. Since we started on April 6th, all we've done is grown because of you and them. Thank you. Good night. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.